Chapter 81. Teacher Bestows Treasure. When Yue Ming reached the deepest part of the primitive mystical region, he caught sight of a faint, immense river of stars flowing through the void realm. It stretched beyond sight, several light-years wide and seemingly endless, as if it led to the edge of the heavens. Within that starry current floated countless strange objects, each emitting an oppressive, awe-inspiring aura. Is that the domain-class peak supreme treasure, the Thousand Treasures River? Yue Ming thought. Legend says it's made up of 1,000 supreme treasures. Take it apart, and you'd have 1,000 supreme artifacts. How extravagant! He smiled wryly at the thought. Only someone like the primordial Chaos City Lord could afford such generosity. An ordinary universe lord could never amass so many supreme treasures. For a moment he imagined disassembling it and selling the pieces at the chat group mall, then laughed internally and dismissed the idea. Those were primordial Chaos City Lord's possessions. Any attempt at theft would mean instant annihilation. Soon Yue Ming arrived at a grand palace carved from the starlit void. Inside, two figures sat in meditation, Ice Peak Lord and Primordial Chaos City Lord. It was the first time Yue Ming had met both of them in person. Ice Peak Lord looked exactly as he did in virtual space. Primordial Chaos City Lord, however, appeared entirely different from the form that presided over Primordial Chaos City. This was clearly another clone, a special life-form host the City Lord had taken possession of. Its skin was silvery white, and its head sprouted countless tentacles, more than 1,000, an appearance far removed from human. Rumor had it, Primordial Chaos City Lord maintained 3 clones. One to oversee the primal universe, one for the primordial universe, this primitive mystical region, and his true body, said to be the strongest, currently exploring the dangerous collapsing peak world in the universe sea. Rise, Ice Peak Lord said. You have broken through to World Lord rank. According to Virtual Universe Corporation regulations, World Lords must undergo life and death tempering. It is a tradition that has existed for billions of years. The tempering mission is divided into 2 options. Go to the outside territory battlefield to fight against countless powerful alien races or enter a universe secret realm. Consider carefully before choosing. Both options were lethal. The outside territory battlefield was a battlefield of races, full of known enemies and predictable threats, while a universe secret realm was an unknown, often treacherous place. Even undying spiritual gods and universe exalts could fall in such uncharted realms if they were careless. Disciple intends to cultivate for a few more decades, Yue Ming replied. Once I bring the water-space fusion law to the 3rd layer, I will go to the outside territory battlefield. He preferred the outside territory battlefield because, dangerous as it was, at least he knew the kinds of enemies he would face. Unknown secret realms were far more perilous. There were too many unpredictable forces that could end even great lives. Ice Peak Lord fell silent for a moment. Primordial Chaos City Lord could not hold back his astonishment. You expect to raise the fusion law to the 3rd layer in only a few decades? Yue Ming answered confidently. Within 100 years, Senior Marshal Uncle, I am certain I can reach the 3rd layer. Primordial Chaos City Lord was dumbfounded. For most, cultivating the fusion law was nearly impossible. Many spent millions of years and never grasped even the 1st layer. Yue Ming had reached the 2nd layer in less than 100 years, and now aimed for the 3rd in a few decades. The City Lord sighed. This young man repeatedly shattered his expectations. There will be many powerful alien races on the outside territory battlefield, Ice Peak Lord warned. You are my personal disciple. Your mastery of the fusion law at the astral rank has spread across the universe. The human race hails you as a peerless genius, appearing once every 10 million eras. In alien assassination rankings, you're consistently in the top 3. Countless enemies have wanted you dead. Once you show yourself on the battlefield, many will come to hunt you. He frowned, clearly worried for Yue Ming's safety. Since Teacher is so concerned, why not cancel the tempering requirement? Yue Ming blurted, half in jest. If the mission could be dropped, he would gladly stay here and cultivate. Strong individuals are forged in battle, Ice Peak Lord replied. Without tempering, one cannot truly become powerful. Besides, I've already exempted you from the Territory Lord deployment mission. You must go on the World Lord tempering. He went on to explain the geopolitical situation. The automaton, monster, and insect races were peak races bordering human territory. Proximity bred conflict. Each side aimed to expand or to prevent invasion, so war was inevitable. Among them, the insect race is the most insidious. When you go to the outside territory battlefield, be especially wary of them. The insect race specializes in soul attacks, he said gravely. If their soul invaders subjugate you and you become a soul slave, even I may not be able to save you. Teacher, please rest assured, Yue Ming replied. With the soul-suppressing orb you gave me, unless a universe lord personally acts, even a universe overlord would not be able to enslave my soul. If I'm in a no-win situation, I still have the option to self-detonate. He knew what happened when soul enslavement took hold. Recovery was impossible. KD, Primordial Chaos City Lord's former genius disciple, once hailed as a marvel born once every 10 million eras, had been captured by the insect race, and the City Lord had been unable to retrieve him. The war between races is merciless, Ice Peak Lord said. It's a struggle for survival. Over countless years, innumerable strong individuals have died, deepening the hatred between races. Humans hate alien races, and they hate us in return. Nobody is entirely right or wrong. Everyone wants to survive. The weak strive to become strong. The strong want to prevent others from rising. Primordial Chaos City Lord then produced a small golden token and placed it in Yue Ming's hand. The token bore faint engravings that suggested a city. This is my token, the City Lord said. I will soon leave the primordial universe. If you encounter an unbearable danger, crush this token at once. The token is fragile. Break it easily, and you will activate the mental imprint I placed on it. I will sense it immediately and arrive in the shortest possible time. Thank you, Senior Marshal Uncle, Yue Ming said, accepting the token with reverence and tucking it safely away. It was a lifeline. Ice Peak Lord stepped forward then and presented another gift. This is the Flying Fish Battle Armor, a high-grade supreme treasure. I bestow it on you for self-defense. The armor has 3 forms. With your current cultivation, you can only activate the Flying Fish form. Even so, in its first form, it will raise your defense and speed to levels comparable with a champion. In the outside territory battlefield, it will make me more at ease. As long as you don't encounter an invincible champion, escape should be possible. Thank you, teacher, Yue Ming said, elated. The Flying Fish battle armor had been specially prepared for him and fit perfectly. Besides providing formidable protection, it had wings on its back that, when activated, would greatly boost his mobility, bringing his speed close to that of an ordinary king-level immortal. Yue Ming accepted the gifts with gratitude, feeling more prepared for the trials ahead, yet aware that the outside territory battlefield would test him in ways his training had not. 82. The third layer of the Law of Fusion. The Flying Fish battle armor is a high-grade supreme treasure. With your current cultivation, refining it will be difficult and will take time. I, your master, will lend you a hand. With Ice Peak Lord's assistance, Yue Ming quickly refined the Flying Fish battle armor. It turned into countless fish scale-like iron pieces that swirled around him. Under his conscious control, tens of thousands of those scales attached to his skin and fused with it. From a distance, nothing seemed different, but up close, a faint blue luster gleamed on Yue Ming's flesh. Buzz. Yue Ming activated the armor. The scales instantly merged into a blue suit that covered him from head to toe. At his thought, a pair of translucent blue wings sprouted from the armor's back, 10 meters across when unfurled. With my help, you've initially refined the armor, but to use it proficiently, you'll have to practice, Ice Peak Lord said, watching the spirited figure of Yue Ming in the armor. Obtaining the Flying Fish battle armor had cost him much effort. With it, Yue Ming's defense and speed approached that of a champion. If he was careful in the outside territory battlefield, he should be able to protect himself. This kindness from my teacher must be repaid someday, Yue Ming thought, deeply grateful. Since becoming Ice Peak Lord's disciple, his master had been impeccably supportive. The Flying Fish battle armor was only a high-grade supreme treasure, but among such armors it ranked at the top, combining defense and speed, which was rare. Most importantly, it could be activated with the water space origin law, meaning his teacher had tailored it for him. The two weaknesses, defense and speed, are resolved, Yue Ming reflected. His offense already rivaled an undying. Once he cultivated the third layer of fusion law, his law comprehension would be comparable to a champion. He lacked an undying body, though, so his speed and defense had lagged behind. Now the armor compensated for those shortcomings. Yue Ming, don't be arrogant or careless. Your senior brother Katie fell into the hands of the insect race back then. At that time, his strength and methods of self-preservation were far greater than yours now. Primordial Chaos City Lord warned solemnly, and when he mentioned the insect race, Yue Ming could sense the anger in his tone. Yes, senior martial uncle, Yue Ming replied. He accepted the warning but held back from asking how the insect race had dealt with KD. He could see the wound in Primordial Chaos City Lord's expression and did not wish to pry. You may withdraw. Yue Ming bowed respectfully, then left the palace. He activated the flying fish battle armor's first form and shot into the sky like a streak of light. Senior brother, I will return to the Universe Sea soon. I entrust Yue Ming to your care. Be vigilant and don't let anything happen to him, Ice Peak Lord said, preparing to depart. He left with unease, repeatedly admonishing Yue Ming about possible dangers in the outside territory battlefield. Junior brother, rest assured, I will take good care of him, Primordial Chaos City Lord replied. With the talent Yue Ming had shown, he could become a top universe overlord, or even a universe lord. Losing such a genius would be a severe blow to the human race, so Primordial Chaos City Lord had both public and private reasons to protect him. That was also why he had given Yue Ming a token, something ordinary people, and even his own disciples, were not qualified to receive. Continue your seclusion. While refining the origin law, cultivate the primal saint body to raise your body's exertion rank, he advised. Yue Ming accelerated under the armor's first form and returned to the manor, then entered his small world to begin seclusion. He intended to tackle the easier task first, the water origin law. His plan was to raise his comprehension of the water origin law to 45% before anything else. Progress slowed the further one went, but as a world lord rank, he had a tremendous advantage. His comprehension speed was 100 times that of a territory lord rank. Still, it took several years to reach 45% in water. Space origin law took even longer. It required more than 20 years to lift space to 45%. Nearly 30 years passed in seclusion before both water and space origin laws reached 45%. Law fusion device, fuse them for me. Without hesitation, once both origin laws met the fusion requirements, Yue Ming activated the law fusion device and began forcing the fusion. Rank, World Lord rank, 9th, 4th stage realm, water origin law 45%, space origin law 45%, water space fusion law 45%, 3rd layer. Genes, 100 times exertion, 96 times secret techniques, ice sealing heaven and earth, soul suppression, primal saint body, heaven-severing sword intent. During nearly 30 years of seclusion, although Yue Ming's main focus had been understanding the origin laws, he had not neglected cultivating the primal saint body. But the body's exertion rank grew harder to raise the further he progressed. Once he reached 90 times exertion, difficulty increased exponentially. Yue Ming had hoped that after cultivating the 3rd layer of fusion law, he could push exertion to 100 times, but that hope proved optimistic. At 96 times now, the remaining 4 times would likely take at least another decade. I'll take my time with the exertion rank. I've completed the 3rd layer of ice sealing heaven and earth. First, I should cultivate the fusion law attack secret techniques. The 3rd layer of ice sealing heaven and earth contained 73 water space fusion law attack secret techniques, all top tier. In the swallowed star world, below the universe lord realm, secret techniques were graded: ordinary, top tier, peak, and ultimate. Many martial artists began creating their own secret techniques in the world lord and undying stages because only a self-made secret technique could fully unlock one's strength. Using others' techniques usually maxed out around 80%. Yue Ming knew this, but for now he would not create his own techniques. His priority was breaking through his cultivation realm. The fusion law attack techniques in ice sealing heaven and earth would suffice for the immediate future. It won't be too late to consider creating techniques after I reach the venerable realm. Most undying existences cultivated or created top-tier techniques, a few champions reached peak level. Yue Ming chose one of the 73 techniques to cultivate. He could not master them all and did not need to. The Frost Sword Chi technique ranked among the top 3 in power. Frost Sword Chi, initial cultivation. After more than half a year of practice, he had an initial grasp of Frost Sword Chi, though he was far from proficient. I can head to the outside territory battlefield now, but first I'll challenge the Tongtian Bridge and the Primal Tongtian Mountain. The Primal Tongtian Mountain was especially appealing. Passing the World Lord ranking there could net him 100 billion points, a useful sum before entering the outside territory battlefield. Yue Ming logged into the virtual universe, applied to enter the Tongtian Bridge plane, greeted Custodian Bafin, and entered the Ice Peak Tongtian Bridge. Chapter 83. Permanent Residency in Primordial Chaos City. Choose your opponent. You may select a martial artist, a controller, or an illusionist. Defeat your opponent to pass the 14th level. I choose a martial artist. After stepping onto the icy Tongtian Bridge, Yue Ming went straight for the 14th level and chose a martial artist as his opponent. The battlefield opened on a desolate planet washed in deep blood-red light, like an infernal wasteland. Without preamble, the duel erupted. The fight began on the ground and quickly stretched into the sky, 2 streaks of light clashing again and again. Each impact sent out terrifying shockwaves that tore open the clouds as if the firmament itself was being rent. Every time Yue Ming swung his sword, a blade of sword light sliced outward. Wherever it passed, space fractured inch by inch, leaving jagged spatial rifts in its wake. The Custodian's power was equally fearsome. His every move gouged and collapsed space, flinging off innumerable spatial shards. As the battle raged, these fragments converged into a torrent, and Yue Ming and the Custodian continued fighting within that swirling maelstrom. Some blows struck the planet's surface, instantly gouging craters thousands of kilometers wide. In truth, if Yue Ming had unleashed his full strength, he could have killed the Custodian with a single stroke. He did not. Instead, he restrained himself. He intended to use the Custodian as a sparring partner, to temper his skill, and to become fully familiar with the newly cultivated Frost Sword Chi secret techniques through actual combat. After several days, the mission was complete. Yue Ming had mastered the Frost Sword Chi techniques well enough to use them freely. It was time to move on. With a single decisive strike, he slew the Custodian and passed the 14th level of the Heavenly Bridge. His figure blurred and reappeared higher up. 15th, 16th, 17th levels. In less than 10 minutes, Yue Ming surged through 5 levels and reached the 18th. The Custodian there was powerful, but once Yue Ming activated his heaven-severing sword intent, 2 sword strikes were all it took. The Custodian fell. Instead of pushing on to the 19th level, Yue Ming exited the Heavenly Bridge. When he emerged, Custodian Bafin stepped forward to congratulate him. His tone and bearing were markedly different now, more respectful. Having reached the 18th level of the Heavenly Bridge, Yue Ming's comprehension of the laws had come to rival that of a champion. His future as a champion seemed certain. Bafin could not help but sigh inwardly. Yue Ming's rate of cultivation was terrifying. He had been away from Primordial Chaos City for only 30 years, yet he had already reached the 18th level. This was the mark of a peerless prodigy. Bafin had a growing feeling he might be witnessing the birth of a legend. "If you hadn't reminded me, I would have almost forgotten," Yue Ming said. Bafin's reminder mattered. Passing the 18th level granted permanent residency in Primordial Chaos City. Countless martial artists dreamed of settling there, not just for its cultivation environment, but for the status it conferred. Almost everyone who secured a place in Primordial Chaos City was of king-level undying or similarly exceptional standing. Still, Yue Ming had no urgency. He was bound for the outside territory battlefield and decided to postpone any residency arrangements until he returned. After a brief conversation with Bafin, Yue Ming left the Tongtian Bridge Plain and applied to enter the Tongtian Mountain Plain. There he met 3 familiar challengers again, the Minotaur, the Serpent Woman, and the Ape Man, and after a short exchange, he began his climb. Less than 5 minutes later, he had raced from the foot to the summit and passed the World Lord rank Primordial Tongtian Mountain. "Congratulations, Your Highness Yue Ming, on passing the World Lord rank primordial Tongqin Mountain. All who pass this mountain are among the human race's top peerless geniuses, the Minotaur intoned. And your highness accomplished it in less than 5 minutes, setting the record for the fastest completion. Countless future challengers will try to break your highness's record. The Minotaur's flattery was florid but sincere enough. Yue Ming only smiled. Unbeknownst to him, news of his double achievements, the 18th level of the Heavenly Bridge and the World Lord rank Tongtian Mountain, had already begun to spread among the high echelons of the races. What a troublesome upstart. First the 18th level of the Heavenly Bridge, now the World Lord rank Tongtian Mountain. If rival races learn of this, they'll want him eliminated, some feared. Even a Universe Lord might take action personally. He's been cultivating less than a century. His potential is terrifying. Primordial Chaos City Lord had been watching the matter since Yue Ming began the Heavenly Bridge trials. He had ordered Yue Ming's information classified as top secret, but any blockage could only delay a leak, not prevent it forever. If peak races were determined to discover him, they would, and when they did, they would want him removed. The City Lord admitted privately that, faced with such a prodigy and the threat he represented, he might not be able to suppress a murderous impulse either. Across the universe, Ice Peak Lord, who had heard the news, laughed heartily. When Yue Ming had first claimed he would reach the 3rd level of the water-space fusion law in a few decades, Ice Peak Lord had been skeptical. Fusion laws were notoriously difficult. Yet Yue Ming had not only met that promise in 30 years, he had also cleared the 18th level and the Tongtian Mountain. My disciple truly didn't disappoint, he said. Other Universe Lords shared his admiration. At this rate, the Virtual Universe branch will likely produce a top Universe Overlord in the future, they said. They're fortunate to be hosting the peak genius battle now. This prodigy has appeared under their roof. Back in Yue Ming's interface, a notification chimed. Points have been credited. The rewards for clearing the 18th level of the Heavenly Bridge and the World Lord rank Tongtian Mountain had been deposited. It was a pity he no longer enjoyed the 30-year multiplier for Primordial Chaos City residency, so the Heavenly Bridge reward wasn't amplified tenfold as it might have been in the past. Yue Ming set about spending the points. He bought a spaceship and filled his purchases with treasures, items to restore world power, healing relics, antidotes, and anything useful for restoring cultivation. The outside territory battlefield would involve relentless combat. Recovery would lag behind consumption, so stocking up on restorative artifacts was essential. He spent all the more than 100 billion points he had received. 2 days later, the treasures arrived. Yue Ming spent nearly a day cataloging, classifying, and stowing everything inside his small world. Everything is ready. Time to depart, he thought, and prepared himself for the campaign ahead. Chapter 84, Outside Territory Battlefield. After leaving the primitive mystical region, Yue Ming boarded a universe ship of the Virtual Universe Corporation and headed for its pan-universe headquarters. From there, he opened a spatial channel to the branch nearest Cangniao star, then boarded another universe vessel and spent more than 10 days in transit before finally approaching the destination. Master, in 10 minutes we will arrive at Cangniao star, one of the human territory's 8 major logistics bases, reported Beibei's clone. Full speed ahead. An F9-class saucer-shaped universe ship streaked through the starfield toward the massive silver-white planet ahead. An F9 ship costs several million Hun Yuan. Most undying spiritual gods, and even some poorer Marquise Undying, used ships of that class. Yue Ming had outfitted his with 10 Star Destroyer energy cannons, top-tier detection instruments, and other gear. The high-end detectors alone had cost 10 million Hun Yuan. Master, we have a guidance signal from Cangniao star. Shall I connect and follow their instructions? Beibei's clone was piloting the ship. Beibei's main body had already evolved into an intelligent life form and was cultivating in the primitive mystical region. Connect to the signal and accept their guidance. Yue Ming stood in the control room with his hands behind his back, watching the enormous planet grow larger. Cangniao star was an artificial world, a star domain war fortress tens of thousands of kilometers across. It served not only as a logistics hub, but also as a transfer station for the armies of the universe. Troops were regularly sent from here to the outside territory battlefield, and many lone cultivators who intended to join the human race's war teleported here first before entering the battlefield. "Master, the ship has landed," Bebe announced. On Kongniao Star's landing platform, the F9 class ship slowly descended. Yue Ming stepped out in a blue battlesuit. With a gesture, the ship vanished from the platform, folded into his world ring. His space-time jammer Small World served as a cultivation base and wasn't convenient for storing supplies, so Yue Ming had bought 10 world rings. He had categorized provisions and equipment across 9 rings. The 10th ring was reserved for the ship. A silver-armored attendant with green skin, 6 ears and a tail bowed and approached. "Sir, welcome to Kangniao Star. I'm Yarvis, staff here. How may I assist you?" Yarvis was a senior staff member assigned to receive Marquis Undying and King-level immortals. "It's my first time here," Yue Ming said. "I'm not familiar with the place. I want to apply to enter the outside territory battlefield, but I don't know where to go. In the past, when I went to the outside territory, I teleported from other logistics bases." Yue Ming's current alias was Amos, a Marquis Undying identity arranged by the primordial Chaos City Lord. There were countless powerful alien experts in the outside territory. Entering under his real identity would invite assassination attempts. The primordial Chaos City Lord had initially given him a World Lord identity, but Yue Ming had pressed to be upgraded to Marquis Undying. Only Marquis Undying and above could operate independently in the outside territory. World Lords were consigned to army units and had to complete military merit missions before they could gain freedom. To disguise himself, Yue Ming had purchased a phantom spirit pearl from the human race treasury. The pearl simulated the chi of a Marquis Undying and altered appearance, though it would fail if used in combat. "Please follow me, sir." Yarvis led him down a corridor into a broad plaza. Thousands of cultivators filled the square, mostly territory lords, with a smattering of world lords and universe-rank individuals. They were lone warriors intending to enter the outside territory. Teleportation was expensive, so world lords had to assemble in groups of 100 for a single teleport. Territory lords and universes had no such requirement. Since Yue Ming's alias was Marquis Undying, he enjoyed special privileges and didn't need to wait. They passed into an enormous hall over 1,000 kilometers across. In the center hung 11 giant space channels like shimmering curtains. Outside the human territory, there were 11 outside territory battlefields. Each channel led to one of them. "Which battlefield would you like?" Yarvis asked. "The 7th Domain Outer Battlefield," Yue Ming said. "The space channel to the 7th Domain Outer Battlefield has been activated. You will be teleported to Barracks Base number 025. The 7th battlefield was a universe secret realm with a span of about 1.1 million light-years. After billions of years of slaughter, its native dangers had been reduced, but the primary threat now came from alien enemies. The human race held 100 barracks bases there. Barracks Base number 025, where Yue Ming was headed, was one of those strongholds. Yue Ming stepped into the channel. Space folded and shifted. When his vision cleared, he stood somewhere unfamiliar. Outside the base, a colorful energy shield wrapped the entire structure, which measured several million kilometers across. The outside territory battlefield was an open war zone between humanity and alien races. The barracks were the human race's safest havens in the 7th battlefield. The shields were powerful enough to stop even a universe exalt. Inside a barracks base, you were essentially secure. Once you left, the whole million light-year star domain was a battlefield, and ambushes by alien experts were constant. "I won't rush out of barracks base number 25, Yue Ming muttered. "I'll get my bearings first, then go hunt alien forces." He thought of the task the primordial Chaos City Lord had assigned him, a military merit quota of 10 trillion. Every soldier who went to the outside territory had a military merit requirement to complete before gaining freedom. New recruits typically had a quota of 1 million. They arrived with 0 military merits and accumulated them by killing on the battlefield. Once their quota was met, they could retire, exchange merits for treasures, continue fighting, or leave the army to fight independently. Until the quota was fulfilled, they had to obey orders. That was why Yue Ming had insisted on a Marquis' undying identity. He didn't want to be tied down in the army. 10 trillion military merits, though. Just thinking about it gave him a headache. Killing a regular world lord individually earned about 100,000 military merits. Converted into material wealth, roughly 100,000 military merits equaled 1 hun yuan. Killing an elite world lord yielded about 1 million merits. Slaying a world lord war general brought 10 million merits. To reach 10 trillion, he would have to kill an astronomical number of world lords. Clearly, the primordial Chaos City Lord expected him to hunt undying spiritual gods. A single undying kill could reward at least 100 million merits, and at most 10 quadrillion, though 10 quadrillion was the prize for single-handedly slaying a champion peak, something Yue Ming was not yet capable of. Chapter 85, Soul Enslavement. Yue Ming stayed at Barracks Base number 025 for 3 days. After getting a rough lay of the surrounding area, he departed in his universe spacecraft. Master, an alien universe spacecraft has been detected 1 billion kilometers away, Beibei's voice announced on the 7th day after leaving the base. Top-tier detectors could accurately sense all life energy fluctuations within 1 billion kilometers. The scanner had picked up 2 alien undying spiritual gods aboard that ship. Stay hidden, approach slowly, and be ready to fire the Star Destroyer cannon at any time, Yue Ming ordered. Ordinary undyings used detectors that cost a few hundred hun yuan units. Better models ran into the thousands and could only reach tens of millions of kilometers. The detector Yue Ming had bought from the Virtual Universe Corporation was their top-tier model, with a maximum range of 1 billion kilometers. In the outside territory battlefield, detectors were priceless. Discovering an enemy early meant seizing the initiative. If you could win, you set an ambush. If not, you fled. On the 3D virtual projection, the 2 alien undying spiritual gods looked strange. Their bodies were entirely rocky. Yue Ming searched the virtual universe database. Pangu race, rock-type life forms, bloodthirsty and murderous. They devour metals with incredibly hard bodies, a very ferocious race. Since you've encountered me, you can only blame your own bad luck, Yue Ming muttered. He could easily overwhelm 2 ordinary undying spiritual gods. His law comprehension, secret techniques, speed, and defenses were all at champion level. He lacked only a divine body and true undying status. His basic strength was 100 times that of a world lord, and his weapon was a heavy treasure, overall roughly comparable to a Marquis undying. Beibei, fire the Star Destroyer cannon, he said. As they closed in, 10 turrets of the Star Destroyer cannon deployed and fired in unison. The alien ship exploded with an ear-splitting roar. A cannon capable of destroying life-bearing planets had no trouble tearing apart a universe spacecraft. Most aboard perished in the blast, but the 2 Pangu race undying remained unscathed physically. Their divine power, however, had clearly been depleted after taking the full force of 10 Star Destroyer shots. Frost Sword Chi. Yue Ming activated his flying fish battle armor. Blue translucent wings unfurled. His figure became a streak of light, and he struck at the 2 Pangu race undying. The Star Destroyer cannon was devastating in a sneak attack, but a prepared undying could avoid it. Yue Ming closed the gap and unleashed the Frost Sword Chi, enhanced by heaven-severing sword intent, the strongest sword intent he could muster. Not good. It's a Marquis undying. The Pangu race warriors panicked when over 10% of their divine bodies were annihilated in the first exchange. Such power had to come from a Marquis undying. No, it's world power. He's a world lord, they corrected themselves in alarm. The attack had been powered by world power, which meant their attacker was a genuine world lord. Only peerless geniuses could deliver Marquis-level destructive force while still being only a world lord. The 2 Pangu race undying exchanged looks and fled in opposite directions. You can't escape! Yue Ming accelerated, fully engaging the flying fish armor. His speed spiked, and he quickly closed on one of them. Despair flickered across the Pangu's face when Yue Ming caught up. Yue Ming showed no mercy. He struck with sword attacks faster than before, tearing away the opponent's divine body. To kill an undying spiritual god, one must completely annihilate the divine body. Any trace of divine power left could allow survival. But Yue Ming had no intention of killing them. He stopped after destroying over 90% of the divine body, enough to force them into an involuntary coma-like sleep, totally vulnerable. Enslave. Yue Ming performed the soul enslavement secret technique from the soul suppression secret techniques. He had planned this from the start, to enslave the Pangu race, undying rather than to kill them. Enter the small world yourself. There are treasures to restore divine power inside. Use them as you see fit. Yes, Master. By the way, what's your name? Master, my name is Pangu. After subduing Pangu, Yue Ming took several restoring treasures from his world ring, helped him recover some divine power, and revived him. Yue Ming had spent over 100 billion points, most of it on treasures that replenish world power and divine power. Restorative items filled several world rings. Pangu was only an ordinary undying. Restoring him to peak didn't consume too many resources. One left, Yue Ming noted. The other Pangu race undying had fled, but with the flying fish armor, Yue Ming eventually caught him in about 3 minutes. The opponent attempted self-destruction when he saw he couldn't win, but Yue Ming stopped him in time. He activated heaven-severing sword intent and used a will impact to fog the Pangu's mind, pushing him into a deep sleep and then performing soul enslavement. What's your name? Yue Ming asked. Master, my name is Pan Xing. Go into the world ring yourself. There are many treasures to restore divine power inside. Thank you, Master. With 2 undying spiritual gods enslaved, Yue Ming was in high spirits, though his expenditure had been heavy. He'd burned through many restorative treasures to bring everyone back to peak condition. Compared to the painstaking cultivation of plant-based life forms, direct soul enslavement had proven far more convenient. Luofeng and Hong both cultivated plant life. Yue Ming had tried once and given up. Once one's cultivation level was high enough, enslaving alien undyings and venerables directly was a far less troublesome way to build power. Over the next 3 months, after Pangu and Pan Xing had fully recovered, Yue Ming took them out to hunt. He had hoped to build an enslaved undying force, but those months only turned up world lords and domain lords, dashing his wish for an undying army. Inside the control room of his universe spacecraft, Yue Ming lounged on the sofa with a cup of hot tea. Pangu and Pan Xing stood respectfully behind him. The 3D projection in front of him displayed teams within a 1 billion-kilometer radius. Several human race teams and alien teams appeared on the map, but none had detected Yue Ming. Pangu, Pan Xing, do you know where more alien undyings gather? He asked. Master, if you want a battle zone with many undyings, go to Green Lotus Continent, Pan Xing replied. Green Lotus Continent is the highest level combat zone in this area, or rather, within barracks base number 025's control range, Pangu added. There are many undying spiritual gods there. Bebe opened the star map. A 3D star map of the 7th battlefield unfolded, dense with special areas. Yue Ming zoomed in on a point labeled Green Lotus Continent. The continent's outline resembled a green lotus. The accompanying text detailed its situation. Green Lotus Continent is the highest level combat zone within barracks base number 025's control range. The continent spans 170 million light years. Humans and countless alien powerhouses enter it. Each team is led by an undying spiritual god, and the number of Marquise undyings is extremely high. Yue Ming studied the description, weighing the danger. It was risky, but with care it should be manageable. Bebe, set course for Green Lotus Continent. Chapter 86, Suppressing an Undying Army. Master Yue Ming finally decided to head for the Green Lotus Continent. His strength was roughly on par with a Marquise-level undying, and he had 2 undying spiritual god servants with him. As long as he didn't run into a king-level immortal, he could look after himself. Initiating Universe Shuttle, he ordered. Engaging Dark Universe mode, accelerating to 50 times the speed of light, the ship reported. Master, we'll reach the shuttle point near Green Lotus Continent in about 2 hours. From there, it will take roughly 5 days to reach the continent's edge, Bebe added. Understood. 5 days passed quickly. The Universe Shuttle, which had been cruising in the outer domain battlefield, finally arrived and entered the outskirts of Green Lotus Continent. With top-tier detection gear that could spot threats far in advance, the shuttle easily avoided enemy forces and met no attacks along the way. Master, we've arrived at the edge of Green Lotus Continent, Bebe announced. External virtual camouflage, 100%, Yue Ming replied, scanning the projection. In the distance lay the vast, boundless green lotus continent, surrounded by countless land fragments. Though called fragments, many were enormous, some with diameters of tens of trillions of kilometers, taking months to cross even at light speed. Master, a Marquise-level undying alien contingent detected 1 billion kilometers ahead. Master, it's the Mohu race. On the 3D display, the alien figures appeared. Pangu, standing behind Yue Ming, recognized them at a glance. The Mohu were part of the monster race and had ties with the Panstone race. Marquise-level undying, avoid them, Yue Ming murmured after a moment of thought. It was safer not to provoke enemies above the Marquise level. Although his offensive power could rival a Marcus undying, he couldn't sustain such output for long. His base strength was only 100 times that of a world lord, and prolonged Marcus-level exertion would drain his world power completely. No matter his champion-level law comprehension or the power of his frost sword chi, 100 dex a world lord was negligible against a true king-level immortal. That said, his flying fish battle armor gave him defense and speed comparable to an ordinary king-level immortal, so a Marquise-level undying couldn't easily harm him. Master, another alien contingent led by an undying army master, detected 1 billion kilometers ahead. Green Lotus continent was indeed a high-level war zone. Powerful aliens were everywhere. Within half a day, another force had been detected. Pangu, Pan Xing, you handle the other aliens. I'll take care of that undying army master, Yue Ming decided. Yes, they replied. Beibei, fire the Star Destroyer cannon, Yue Ming ordered. Boom. Before the enemy realized they had been noticed, Beibei fired. The Star Destroyer shot struck and destroyed the alien shuttle, cutting off any chance of escape. Attack! Yue Ming activated his flying fish battle armor, drew the ice seal sword, and streaked forward. Pangu and Panjing followed, targeting the alien world lords. 2 undying servants against a host of world lords made for a one-sided slaughter. Human, the undying army master roared when he saw his soldiers being cut down. More than half his forces were slain almost instantly. Rage flared across his face. Take care of yourself first, Yue Ming said coolly. He met the undying army master's assault, blocking the blow with the ice seal sword. From the alien's features, Yue Ming judged him to be of the Chusi race among the monster race, Frost Sword Chi. Yue Ming struck to prevent a long fight. Prolonged conflict in this zone only invited more danger. The Chusi undying's expression changed in shock as he found himself outmatched. You, a mere world lord, how can you be so powerful, he spat. He gritted his teeth. Even if Yue Ming's attacks were strong, the enemy convinced himself that a world lord's body shouldn't be able to withstand undying grade assaults. Yet Yue Ming's armor was a high-grade supreme treasure. Even at its first form, it couldn't be broken through by an ordinary undying army master. Panic crept into the Chusi undying's face when he realized he couldn't pierce Yue Ming's defenses, and even his speed couldn't match Yue Ming's. Escape was impossible. Don't force my hand, he snarled, desperation in his voice. He prepared to self-destruct. Yue Ming sneered. He had already expended great effort, reducing over half of the enemy's divine body. He wouldn't allow him to self-destruct. Will impact. Although Yue Ming's will was only on par with a normal undying and couldn't erase an enemy at that level, his will impact could daze the Chusi undying momentarily. He followed with heavy pressure. Heaven's severing sword intent after sword intent, constantly interfering with the undying's mind and preventing any chance of self-annihilation. Each strike shredded the alien's divine body. In a short time, the Chusi undying's divine body had been annihilated by over 90%, and he fell into a deep, involuntary slumber. Enslave, Yue Ming commanded. He seized the chance to cast his soul enslavement secret technique and took control of the Chusi undying's soul. In his stupor, the alien could not resist. By then, Pangu and Pan Xing had finished off the remaining world lords. The fight had attracted attention, so Yue Ming immediately called for a retreat. The 3 returned to the Universe shuttle and departed at once. Once they were clear of danger, Yue Ming approached the captive. What is your name? Master, my name is Eureka, the Chusi undying murmured as consciousness returned. Yue Ming produced a stack of divine power recovery treasures from his world ring and helped Eureka restore his divine power. Eureka revived quickly. Yue Ming then had him enter the world ring to absorb and refine the treasures in private, restoring his strength inside. Bebe, stop at the mountain range ahead, Yue Ming instructed. He intended to find a secluded place to recuperate and go into seclusion long enough to cultivate the primal saint body and raise his physical power exertion rank to 100x. His law comprehension and will had already reached the standard for an undying breakthrough. Only his physical exertion lagged. Once that reached the required level, he could break through and become an undying, boosting his strength dramatically, at least to the power of an early champion. This is the place, he said, and lowered the shuttle into a mountain range. Its interior hit a super-large cavern that had clearly been abandoned for a long time, likely an old staging area left to time. Pangu, Panxing, you two keep watch. I'll go into seclusion for a while. Yes, master, they replied. With 2 immortal servants on guard, Yue Ming could cultivate without worry. He also set up the detector. The unit could monitor a radius of 1 billion kilometers and perform high-intensity scans within 10,000 kilometers. This top-of-the-line detector could handle both long-range and precise short-range surveillance simultaneously. With this, I won't fear ambushes, Yue Ming said, satisfied, then entered seclusion. He focused this period on raising his physical power exertion rank toward a single, decisive break to undying. After 2 full years of hard cultivation, his exertion had finally climbed from 96 times to 97 times the power of a world lord. At his current pace, it would likely take about 3 years to reach 98, 4 years to reach 99, and 5 more years to push to 100, roughly 12 years in total, to accomplish the final advance. Chapter 87, 9 Immortal Servants. Master, 6 undying spiritual gods have been detected 980 million kilometers away. 6 undying spiritual gods. The 3D holographic projection showed 6 figures resting deep within a mountain range, 980 million kilometers out. Their leader was an undying army master. The other 5 were ordinary undyings. All of them bore the marks of the Chi Dragon clan. Scaled bodies, fierce bloodlust, and a talent for soul attacks. Their scales gave them tremendous natural defense. The armor worn by that undying army master looks like heavy treasure armor. An undying army master wearing heavy treasure armor almost certainly had a high status, perhaps a direct disciple or descendant of a Chi Dragon universe exalt. Eureka, you'll be responsible for tying down that undying army master. Pangu and Panxing, you and I will quickly take care of the other 5. Yes, they boarded the Universe-class ship and flew toward the mountain range. But by the time they closed to within 300 million kilometers, the enemy had clearly detected them. It looks like a sneak attack is out of the question. Then, we'll fight with real weapons. Yue Ming hadn't been surprised that they'd been discovered. A world lord who could afford heavy treasure armor would almost certainly have good detection gear. The enemy didn't seem to be trying to retreat. They were waiting for them. Perhaps they'd noticed Yue Ming only had 1 undying army master and 2 ordinary undyings, and judged they stood a good chance. As for Yue Ming himself, a mere world lord rank in their eyes, they probably didn't even count him as a threat. Chi Dragon clan specializes in soul attacks. Be careful. I don't expect you to kill them. Just hold them. Attack! They engaged instantly. Eureka entwined the undying army master, while Pangu and Panxing each fought an undying. Yue Ming faced 3 undyings alone. The Chi Dragon clan relied on soul assaults, but Yue Ming carried a peak heavy treasure, a soul-suppressing orb that perfectly countered them. Frost Sword Chi, Yue Ming unleashed it with no hesitation. Heaven-severing sword intent, he pushed his techniques to the limit, the secret arts amplified by sword intent. Each stroke carried the force of a Marquise undying, and the 3 undyings were suppressed before they could mount an effective offense. He ignored their soul attacks. There was no point. A peak heavy treasure, soul-suppressing orb wasn't going to be shaken by 3 ordinary undyings. A world lord with combat power comparable to a Marquise undying, he's a peerless genius of the human race, one of the undyings spat. Damn. He can ignore our soul attacks. He must have a soul defense heavy treasure. Damn humans. We can't even break his armor. Split up and run. If we can all escape, that's a victory. The 3 tried to scatter, but Yue Ming had already anticipated that and blocked their routes. He also used heaven-severing sword intent to prevent any of them from self-destructing. As their divine power was methodically annihilated, one by one, they slipped into slumber. Enslave, Yue Ming executed his soul suppression techniques and bound the three into servitude. Then he turned to aid Eureka against the undying army master. Hold on, Eureka. Eureka looked battered, suppressed by the undying army master and forced onto the defensive. In a short time, his divine power had been eaten away by 20%. The undying army master remained uninjured. Heavy treasure armor protected him, and his weapon was a heavy treasure as well. An odd hybrid, neither spear nor gun. No wonder Eureka couldn't retaliate effectively. The enemy possessed both superior defense and a heavy offensive treasure. As Yue Ming joined the fray, the undying army master began to retreat. Then recognition crept across his face. Yue Ming wore supreme treasure armor. A supreme treasure armor? The army master realized aloud. Yue Ming's weapon was only a high-grade heavy treasure, but his defense was a supreme treasure armor, and his own weapon was a peak heavy treasure. He also displayed the water-space fusion law in combat. For anyone who'd paid attention to the assassination lists, this was a dangerous mix of signs. Yue Ming's appearance didn't match the profile on the lists, but a world lord armed with so many treasures and showing the fusion law was obviously someone of tremendous status. World lord rank wearing supreme treasure armor, a soul defense heavy treasure, and an attack-type peak heavy treasure. Skilled in the water space fusion law, you are Yue Ming, the peerless genius of the human race, rarely seen in a million eras. I saw your file on the assassination list. The Qi Dragon Clan Undying Army Master blurted out, his expression changing. The differences were glaring. The assassination list had him at universe rank, suspected of only cultivating the second layer of the water space fusion law. Here he was at world lord rank, with a third-layer fusion law and combat power rivaling a Marcus Undying. That kind of growth demanded reporting to his race. Yue Ming's killing intent surged. With Eureka's help, he pressed home the assault. He kept heaven-severing sword intent active to prevent the enemy from self-destructing. The Undying Army Master fought desperately, but eventually slipped into slumber. Enslave, Yue Ming bound him as well. Afterward, Yue Ming let out a shaky breath. Continuing the fight any longer would have cost him dearly. He had been using near Marquise-level output and had consumed nearly 80% of his world power. The Undying Army Master's heavy treasure armor had blunted his Ice Seal sword, weakening his strikes. But having subdued and enslaved the enemy, he could finally relax. He then joined Pangu and Pan Xing to finish subduing the final two Undyings. By the end of the skirmish, Yue Ming had 9 immortal servants under his control, among them 2 Undying Army Masters. "What are all your names?" he asked. Yue Ming took a handful of divine power recovery artifacts from his world ring and used them to restore the 6 newly enslaved immortal servants, helping them regain consciousness. "Master, my name is Qi Jiang." The Undying Army Master who had been leader now knelt heavily, remorse plain on his face. "Master, there is something I must confess. Not long ago, I sent word of your appearance in the 7th Domain outer battlefield back to the race. Please punish me, Master." Foreign races didn't have a convenient virtual network like humans, but they had other means of rapid communication, less convenient but effective. Qi Jiang looked crushed. "What did you say?" Yue Ming asked flatly. "I only reported that you appeared on the Green Lotus continent of the 7th Domain outer battlefield. I didn't have time to say anything more. Before I was suppressed, I transmitted that much." "In that case, it's not too bad," Yue Ming replied. He wasn't pleased, but it could have been worse. "Master, you're at the top of the assassination list now. With your location exposed, many powerful figures will likely converge here. You should leave immediately." "My ranking on foreign assassination lists has risen again. You're right, this place isn't safe for long. We need to leave at once." Yue Ming summoned the Universe-class ship and they departed the Green Lotus continent. He hadn't decided where to go next, only that staying was dangerous. Fortunately, Qi Jiang had only transmitted Yue Ming's presence. He hadn't had the chance to report Yue Ming's actual cultivation, third-layer water-space fusion law, or the treasures he carried. It wasn't that Qi Jiang wanted to withhold that information, But under the will impact, he couldn't even self-destruct, much less send a long message. Chapter 88. A chat group mission has arrived. Yue Ming had mentally prepared for his identity being exposed, but he hadn't expected it to happen so fast. It still left him a little off guard. Exposure was inevitable. No matter how well he hid, there was no disguise that could withstand the water-space fusion law. If he used the fusion law, it was only a matter of time before someone recognized him, and his whole strength rested on that law. Without it, he was nowhere near a marquee undying. He couldn't even beat an ordinary undying. So every time he moved, the risk of exposure was there, unless every fight could be finished instantaneously before the enemy could transmit information. He did have some reputation in the universe because of the alien race assassination list, but not everyone paid attention. Pangu and Pan Xing, for example, hadn't guessed his identity. People like Qi Jiang who had were in the minority. While the spaceship raced through space, a system prompt chimed in his head. The chat group had finally released a mission. LMM mission, World C712, Journey to the West has been invaded by darkness. Immortals and Buddhas have fallen, the three realms are collapsing, and all living beings suffer. Mission requirements: suppress the darkness and purify the world. Mission reward: 0.2 origin points. Special note: this chat group mission allows a maximum of 5 participants. Chat group members with higher evaluations receive priority when accepting missions. Yue Ming logged into the chat group. Everyone except Li Shanhe was online. It seemed they had all received the notification. Li Shanhe had said last time that he was going into seclusion to break through to the 6th tier, and he hadn't come online now, so he wouldn't be joining this mission. Tomb of God. Since Li Shanhe is in seclusion, everyone else seems to be here. Let's talk about this chat group mission. I'll definitely participate. Who else wants to accept it? Decades had passed, and Lu Shanshan had already broken through to the 5th tier. She must have gotten a lot out of the visit to the Myriad Heavens Mall Alliance headquarters. Teng Qingyan had also advanced to the 3rd tier after selling a 7th tier Supreme Treasure and gaining origin points. Fast improvement for her was expected. A record of a mortal's journey to immortality. I want to accept, but my strength is too low. I'll pass. I'd rather not slow you down or bring trouble. Record of the 9 tripods. I won't be participating in this chat group mission. Battle through the heavens. Ahem, fellow chat group members. I've only been here a few years and don't know much. Can someone explain what a chat group mission is? After I understand, I'll decide whether to join. Yue Ming only realized a new member had joined when Xiao Zhan spoke. He recognized the name. Xiao Zhan had transmigrated into the Battle Through the Heavens world. Could he be Xiao Yan's father, the protagonist? The thought crossed Yue Ming's mind. A record of a mortal's journey to immortality. The mission world is very dangerous. Without protective treasures, even a 3rd tier could easily die. I'm a 2nd tier like you, definitely not going. You should think carefully before accepting. Xiao Zhan. In that case, I'll give up. I don't feel ready yet. Shrouding the heavens. Count me in for the chat group mission. You two are 4th tiers, right? Are you joining? A record of a mortal's journey to immortality. Damn it. Lu Ming, I wasn't paying attention, and Yue Ming, you sly fox, you secretly broke through to the 4th tier? You're too fast. I need to smuggle myself to the spirit realm soon, or I'll never catch up. If Lu Ming is in, count me in too. At Yue Ming, do you want to join? Origin point opportunities are rare. If we miss this, who knows when the next mission will come. Lu Shanshan. Quick question. If you accept a mission, can you withdraw midway? Is there a penalty for mission failure? If you encounter an irresistible danger, you can withdraw and return to your own world. But that counts as abandoning the mission. Mission failure. There is a penalty for failing a mission. Not only will origin points be deducted, it will affect your evaluation. This mission's reward is 0.2 origin points. If we fail, everyone will have 0.2 origin points deducted. Tomb of God. Evaluation matters. Members with higher evaluations can take priority on missions. Right now the group is small, so it doesn't matter much, but eventually when more people join and scramble for missions, high evaluations will be important. You could even use a high evaluation to snatch missions from lower-ranked members. A record of a mortal's journey to immortality. Yue Ming. What if there are no origin points on a mission? Would failure carry no penalty? If I can return to my world at any time without owing points, I might join this one for fun. Tomb of God. If a mission offers no origin points, you'll still owe them. When you gain origin points later, you'll have to pay back the debt. Yue Ming. I'm in. Li Jing is right. Origin point chances are rare. If we miss this one, based on how the chat group usually behaves, we might be waiting hundreds of years for another. All right, that's 4 people. 1 spot left. Any volunteers? Silence. Xiaozhan and Yue Ming were second tiers and too weak. Teng Qingyun had no interest in risking herself. She had lots of origin points from the treasure sale and could safely convert them into strength later. No need to gamble. Invincible East. First Order. 4 Great Elders. Can I come with you? Invincible East had little choice. His world limited his options. His golden finger wasn't strong enough to push him to the second tier. Time moved quickly in his world, and his lifespan was nearly exhausted. If he didn't break through soon, he might die of old age. Think carefully. We're all from different worlds. When we enter the mission world, teleportation is random. If you accept, you might die before meeting us, or you might withdraw midway, which still counts as mission failure and leaves you owing 0.2 origin points. The Smiling Proudwander. Invincible East. I have no choice. My lifespan is almost gone. I'll take the risk. Dying in the mission world is better than dying of old age in mine. Tomb of God. Very well. 5 of us will accept the mission. After acceptance, there will be 3 days of preparation. After 3 days, we will be teleported into the mission world simultaneously. Global Marthting. From the description, this is a dark journey to the West world. Our task is to suppress blackened immortals and Buddhas. Those immortals and Buddhas should be powerful. Can we handle them? Who knows? If it's truly impossible, withdraw midway. Mission failure costs origin points and evaluation, but it's better than dying. Yue Ming is right. If it's impossible, everyone should withdraw. As long as the Green Mountains remain, there will always be wood to burn. Invincible East First Order. Invincible East fell silent. From the tone of the Great Elders, their confidence didn't sound high. They were already talking about withdrawal before they began. His gamble suddenly felt even riskier. Shrouding the Heavens 4th tier. I need to go offline. Got to prepare and borrow an Extreme Dao Emperor weapon. You have quite a bit of face to be able to borrow an Extreme Dao Emperor weapon. Seems your years in the Shrouding the Heavens world were not wasted. Chapter 89. Dark Journey to the West. Yue Ming, 4th tier. I have a question. After accepting a mission, can I bring other people with me into the mission world? You wish. Missions are meant to be completed only by the group members themselves. You can't ask for help. Is that so? That's a shame. I have several soul slaves and wanted to bring them along to the mission world, but it looks like I can't. Lu Shanshan, 5th tier. Soul slaves? If they're soul slaves, you can try. Maybe you can bring them. Asking for help is definitely not allowed. Li Shanhei and I already tested that, but soul slaves are different. If the chat group determines that soul slaves are your private property, then you can bring them to the mission world. I can bring my mount, the Ice Phoenix, so it's possible. Li Jing, 4th tier. There's such a loophole, then maybe I should find a mount too. It'd be useful. I'll try. If I can bring my soul slaves, our chances of completing the mission will be much higher. I'm going offline to prepare. See you in the mission world in 3 days. After Yue Ming went offline, he immediately summoned all his soul slaves and took out a world ring. This world ring contains high-grade recovery items that can quickly restore your divine power. You must get back to peak as soon as possible. The recovery items he had bought ranged from low-grade to high-grade. Low-grade items were cheaper and suitable for recovering divine power after battle, but they replenished slowly. High-grade items were prohibitively expensive and usually reserved for emergency replenishment during combat. Eureka, Pangu, Chijiang, and the others tried to talk him out of using the expensive ones. Master, high-grade items are precious. We can recover slowly with the low-grade ones. With those, we can be back to peak in 2 or 3 months at most. Yes, Master, no need to waste valuable items on us, they all protested. High-grade items were meant to be saved for fights. Wasting them now would be extravagant, but Yue Ming couldn't afford to wait months. In 3 days, I'm taking you somewhere important, he said. I need you at peak as soon as possible. If he had a choice, Yue Ming wouldn't have spent the high-grade items, but time pressed. Chijiang, the 6 of you refine these items as fast as you can. Aim to be at peak in 3 days. Eureka, Pangu, Panxing, you're still in good condition. Come with me to capture more undying spiritual gods. I need more soul slaves. Yes, Bebe, return to Green Lotus Continent. If you find any undying spiritual gods, report immediately. Green Lotus Continent was the highest level combat zone under Barracks Base number 025 and the place with the most undying spiritual gods. Yue Ming planned only to linger at the periphery, but it was the best place to find what he wanted. Master, 950 million kilometers away, an alien team with 3 undying spiritual gods has been detected. Catch them. 3 days passed in a flash. After hard work, Yue Ming had enslaved 15 more undying spiritual gods, including 2 undying army masters. His undying servant army now numbered 24. To get them back to peak so quickly, though, he'd used more than half of his high-grade recovery items, worth roughly 200 to 300 billion Hun Yuan. Transmission is about to begin. Countdown. 10, 9, 8. The chat group system's prompt sounded in Yue Ming's mind as the countdown to transmit to the mission world began. Everyone, enter my inner world immediately. Yue Ming stored all 24 undying soul slaves in his inner world, put his universe spaceship into the world ring, and stood alone beneath the stars. He hoped the soul slaves would be allowed into the mission, otherwise 3 days of effort and the enormous expense would be wasted. As the countdown ended, Yue Ming's figure vanished and reappeared in the dark journey to the West World. Friendly reminder, your teammate Invincible East has fallen. Less than 3 seconds later, the chat group announced again, Invincible East had actually died. Was it one of those instant death teleports? Yue Ming had no time to dwell on it. He opened his inner world and found that all his soul slaves had been transported with him. He breathed a long sigh of relief. Very good. Come out. He released all 24 undying soul slaves. People swarmed around him, and the sight of them gave him immediate reassurance. This world is called the Journey to the West World. I'll transmit what I know about it to you. Yue Ming copied a memory containing information on the dark journey to the west and sent it to all his undying soul slaves. Yue Ming, 4th tier. I'm in the mission world. What about you? Global martial arts. Li Jing, 4th tier. I'm here too, but I don't know my exact location. Also, how did Invincible East die? Covering the heavens. He was unlucky, probably teleported into a more dangerous place. He was too weak to terminate the mission in time and return to his original world. He died instantly. Tomb of Gods. Liu Shenshen, 5th tier. I was teleported to Flower Fruit Mountain. Everyone come there. We'll meet at Flower Fruit Mountain. Yue Ming, 4th tier. All right. Everyone gather at Flower Fruit Mountain. It's famous. You can find its general location by asking any demon or local deity. Chijiang, go capture a demon. Chijiang was the strongest among the new Undying Army masters and had 2 heavy treasures. Yue Ming didn't ask him to surrender those treasures. He had his own flying fish battle armor, an ice seal sword, and the few extra points he'd get for selling the items in the chat group mall weren't worth it. The stronger Chijiang remained, the more useful he would be. Master, I've brought back a local deity. Chijiang returned with a local deity. Although technically an immortal official, The deity was full of dark chi, with none of the usual immortal radiance. Let's see if beings from other worlds can be soul enslaved. Try it. Yue Ming performed his soul enslavement techniques and, to his surprise, managed to enslave the local deity. Lead the way to Flower Fruit Mountain. Yes, Master. Guided by the local deity, Yue Ming boarded his universe spaceship and flew toward Flower Fruit Mountain. From the deity, he learned much about this corrupted world. The dark journey to the west resembled the orthodox journey to the west in many ways, but everything was twisted. The Buddhas of the Western paradise presented themselves as lofty and benevolent, but in truth, they were demons who devoured the earthly fortune of humanity, leaving mortals to suffer. The heavenly court still had a Jade Emperor and a Queen Mother of the West, but the Queen Mother's peaches required irrigation with the blood of virgin boys and girls to blossom and bear fruit. The peaches granted immortality, but at a monstrous cost. Genyuanzi's ginseng fruit tree here fed on the souls of living beings to produce its ginseng fruits, human soul fruits. In short, the entire world had gone bizarre and evil. According to the chat group's mission description, darkness had invaded this journey to the West world and caused the immortals and Buddhas to fall, but what that darkness actually was remained unexplained. Chapter 90, Offline Group Member Meeting. Xiaozhan, Battle Through the Heavens. Good thing I didn't take the group mission. I didn't expect the dark journey to the West world to be so dangerous. Invincible East was killed the moment he was teleported there. Yue Ming, Rank 2. A record of a mortal's journey to immortality. I told you the mission world is dangerous. Don't assume you can just terminate the mission and return safely if your power is too low. You can be killed instantly. There won't be any second chances. Teng Qingyan, Rank 3, Record of the 9 Tripods. I just watched Invincible East's death replay. He was unbelievably unlucky, teleported straight to Spirit Mountain and devoured by the Buddhas of the Western Paradise. It was a truly tragic end. Yue Ming, Rank 2. A record of a mortal's journey to immortality. I watched that replay too. Invincible East's death was tragic. Come to think of it, he's the second member of our chat group to die. Xiaozhan, Rank 2. Battle Through the Heavens. There's a death replay? Where can I watch it? And besides Invincible East, did anyone else from our group die before? Yue Ming, Rank 2. A record of a mortal's journey to immortality. The earlier member who died was named Zhuo Fan. His death replay is on the chat group's public screen. Go watch it yourself. Yue Ming, Rank 2, a record of a mortal's journey to immortality. And remember, members can be revived after death, but the cost is huge. The stronger the member, the greater the cost. Don't get cocky just because you're in the chat group. You won't be immortal for real. If you die, no one will revive you if you can't afford it. Rank 4. At Yue Ming, I'm at Flower Fruit Mountain. When will you two get here? Yue Ming, Rank 4. I was teleported to the Nanzhan continent. It's far from Flower Fruit Mountain, so I won't be there quickly. I was teleported to the Dongsheng Divine Continent, and I'm traveling by universe ship. I'm very close to Flower Fruit Mountain now. The dark journey to the West world was structured very differently from the Swallowed Star world. There was no dark universe and no spatial layers here. Exceeding the speed of light didn't send you into a dark universe as it did in Swallowed Star. Instead, it allowed for spatial leaps. The universe ship made several such leaps and soon arrived at Flower Fruit Mountain. A group of immortal servants accompanied Yue Ming as they disembarked. On the peak stood a man and a woman. The woman was the most eye-catching, dressed head to toe in ancient armor, only her eyes visible, which shone with brilliant divine light. She bore an ancient bow on her back, a great dragon blade in her left hand, and an old shield in her right, radiating a terrifying aura. Holy crap, you actually brought so many people? Li Jing, wearing modern clothes and a sun hat, gaped when he saw Yue Ming's retinue. Everyone else is doing the mission solo, and you show up with a whole army. He counted the immortal servants and realized several of them were stronger than he was. There seemed to be no fairness in this world. Under the Heavens rank system, titles from Undying Spiritual God up to Universe Exalt all fell under Rank 4. Li Jing had only recently broken into Rank 4, and was roughly the strength of an ordinary undying. This is great. All of Yue Ming's soul slaves are rank 4. With so many powerful helpers, the mission will be much easier. Someone observed. Liu Shanshan's voice was pleasant, mature, gentle but commanding, like an older sister. I'm here. A spatial rift split open above Flower Fruit Mountain, and a man in a white robe with long hair and an immortal aura stepped out. Lu Ming is such a show-off, Li Jing complained. But in appearance, Lu Ming did overshadow them. Both Li Jing and Yue Ming were merely not ugly, not particularly handsome. Yue Ming looked up and saw a verdant pagoda hovering 100 meters above Lu Ming's head, exuding oppressive pressure. Is that an extreme Dao Emperor weapon? Lu Ming nodded. That's the Western Sovereign Pagoda. I borrowed it from the Jade Lake Holy Land. You're on such good terms with Jade Lake that they'd lend you an extreme Dao Emperor weapon? Li Jing sounded incredulous. An extreme Dao Emperor weapon was the foundation of a force. They were seldom used lightly, and rarer still lent to outsiders. Didn't I tell you? Lu Ming said lightly. My wife is the saintess of the Jade Lake Holy Land. I'm borrowing it from my wife's family. I still have that much face. Damn, Li Jing was boiling with envy. Anyone who'd read the novel Covering the Sky knew the Jade Lake Saintess was a great beauty. Not far from the group, a huge immortal stone rested on the mountaintop. Lu Ming noticed it first. The stone was about 3 zhang in size, with 9 apertures and 8 holes, clearly an extraordinary relic. Is that the immortal stone that incubated Sun Wukong? I can feel life stirring inside. Lu Ming said, It is Sun Wukong, but he's still incubating, Yue Ming replied. Unfortunately, this world has been invaded by darkness and the whole heaven and earth have been corrupted. The immortal stone has been polluted. The immortal embryo inside has turned into a demonic embryo. Still, its potential is enormous. I plan to refine it into an incarnation. My incarnation is back! Liu Shanshan declared. A golden figure broke through the air and merged with her, a warrior in golden armor with long hair and an elegant, imposing demeanor. Her incarnation reported quickly. I infiltrated the heavenly court in Spirit Mountain and found 2 pieces of news, one good, one bad. The good news is this journey to the West World has no connection to the primordial era. The bad news is that both the Tathagata of the Western Paradise and the Grand Supreme Elder of the Heavenly Court have already broken through to rank 5 by relying on their descent into darkness. Their actions are tied to why this journey to the West World has become what it is. Yue Ming and the others went pale. Though they were all rank 4, rank 5 beings could crush them like ants. Still, the lack of connection to the primordial era was a relief. Let me handle the Tathagata and Grand Supreme Elder, Liu Shanshan said. I'll lure them into chaos, and you can take the chance to eradicate Spirit Mountain and the Heavenly Court in one fell swoop. Though Liu Shanshan had only just broken into rank 5, she was confident. She possessed many treasures, and Tathagata and Grand Supreme Elder had barely reached rank 5 through their descent into darkness, placing them at the low end of rank 5. She believed she could suppress them. Yue Ming has many soul slaves, so I'll go with Li Jing. Li Jing and I will go to Spirit Mountain. Yue Ming will go to the Heavenly Court. Sound good? Lu Ming suggested. No problem, Yue Ming replied. He had 24 immortal servants, all rank 4. As long as they didn't face the Tathagata and the Grand Supreme Elder directly, they could sweep through the world. Rewards after the mission would be divided by contribution. If Yue Ming cleared the Heavenly Court alone, his merit and rewards would be greater. Liu Shanshan, by fighting Tathagata and Grand Supreme Elder, would earn the lion's share, with the others receiving smaller portions. All right, let's do it that way, Liu Shanshan agreed. Once I lure them into chaos, strike immediately. With that, she vanished. Moments later, the 3 heard 2 furious shouts echo down from the 9 heavens. Prodigy, how dare you! Amitabha, evil creature, surrender at once. They exchanged glances. Liu Shanshan had already made her move. Instantly, the 3 figures disappeared from Flower Fruit Mountain. Li Jing and Lu Ming headed for Spirit Mountain, while Yue Ming and his immortal servants charged up toward the 9 heavens. Chapter 91, 6th Order Primordial Pearl. What kind of prodigy dares trespass into the South Heaven Gate? The South Heaven Gate hung faintly in the midst of colorful clouds, auspicious immortal chi cascading like silk. Lining both sides of the gate were hundreds of golden-armored divine beings in perfect formation. Suddenly, a spatial rift opened directly before the gate. Yue Ming led a group of immortal servants through the rift in a sweeping charge. Kill! Leave no one alive! At his command, the immortal servants surged forward. The gate-guarding divine generals and heavenly soldiers were overwhelmed and wiped out in an instant. Yue Ming's group passed through the South Heaven Gate and into the heavenly court. Immortal chi spiraled about magnificent palaces that rested on golden clouds, and endless multicolored immortal light bathed the realm. Every inch of the immortal realm glittered with splendor. No one would suspect that beneath the beauty, the immortals and gods had already been corrupted, turned into man-eating demons and puppets of darkness. Enemy attack! Their invasion caused an uproar. Countless divine generals and heavenly soldiers swarmed toward Yue Ming, surrounding them in moments. Act! Finish them quickly! Yue Ming waved his hand, and the immortal servants scattered to strike. Shouts rang out. The heavenly court erupted into chaos. In Yue Ming's perception of strength, among the court's immortals and gods, only 17 were 4th tier, the rest 3rd tier. The dark journey to the West World was weaker than he had expected. Undying Army Master, follow me. Yue Ming decided to end the fight fast. He drew his ice seal sword and, accompanied by his Undying Army Master soul slaves, charged for the High Heavens Hall. They cut through like a hot knife through butter and broke into the hall in short order, where a man in dragon robes and an imperial crown stood protected at the center. "Who are you?" the man demanded. "Do you know that trespassing into the heavenly court is a capital offense?" The crowned man was, of course, the Jade Emperor. Calm in appearance, he was inwardly alarmed. Yue Ming had no time for words. "Kill!" He swung the ice seal sword and unleashed a 10,000 Zhang sword light. The single strike shattered the High Heavens Hall to dust. Apart from a dozen or so 4th-tier immortals and gods, the rest were annihilated without even a scream. Within 10 minutes, the heavenly court was silent. Its denizens lay dead or utterly suppressed. Under Yue Ming's command, the immortal servants dug through the ruins 3 feet deep, ransacking the court. "Master, all the treasures of the heavenly court are here." Good. Yue Ming surveyed the mountain of treasures with satisfaction. He opened the chat group mall and began selling everything. The immortal gathering banner, the Hao Qin pagoda, the demon reflecting mirror, the purple gold red gourd, the 7-star sword, the banana fan, the demon slaying sword, the demon binding rope, the golden pagoda. One immortal servant even dug up the flat peach trees from the flat peach garden. Item after item disappeared as it was sold in the chat group mall, and Yue Ming's points shot upward. Besides the famed relics, the heavenly court treasury contained countless divine weapons and armor, immortal pills, and precious medicines. Their quality was only average, but their sheer quantity compensated. Still, it wasn't enough. Still a bit short for a 6th-tier treasure. Despite pillaging the entire heavenly court, his points were not yet enough to buy a 6th-tier treasure. He needed more. "Follow me to the underworld." They used the heavenly court's teleportation channel to reach the underworld directly. After plundering it and selling yet more treasures to the chat group mall, Yue Ming's points grew, but they were still a little shy of the target. The immortal realm and underworld are done. There's the earthly immortal realm left. Once we scour that, we'll have enough. Yue Ming led his immortal servants to the earthly immortal realm. He let the undying spiritual gods act freely, while he, with a few undying army masters, charged straight for the Wuzhuang temple. Zhen Yuanzi's strength isn't weak. Qi Jiang, take him. Yes, Qi Jiang burst into the Wuzhuang temple and quickly suppressed Zhen Yuanzi, returning with treasures like the ginseng fruit tree and the heaven and earth treasure mirror. Yue Ming sold the ginseng fruit tree in the chat group mall, but kept the heaven and earth treasure mirror. He produced a scroll and a book, the heavenly court's investiture of the gods and the underworld's book of life and death. All other treasures from the heavenly court and underworld had been sold. Only these 2 items remained. Through the chat group mall's appraisal system, the investiture of the gods was recognized as the Book of Heaven, the heaven and earth treasure mirror as the Book of Earth, and the Book of Life and Death as the Book of Man. The 3 books of heaven, earth, and man could be fused. Fusion. The three books slowly fused and transformed into a gleaming golden scroll. Yue Ming opened the chat group mall for appraisal and discovered it was actually a peak 5th-tier treasure. Sell! Finally, enough points. Yue Ming opened his attribute panel. He finally had enough points to purchase a 6th-tier treasure. Purchase the Hongmeng bead. He had already decided what to buy. The Hongmeng bead. The Hongmeng bead was a 6th-tier innate treasure, naturally formed, containing a boundless Hongmeng world within and possessing the function of concealing heavenly secrets. After Yue Ming achieved undying, he could store his divine kingdom inside the Hongmeng bead. Cultivating within it would also shield him from the primordial universe's will, allowing him to raise his genetic level safely. The Hongmeng bead could even act as a palace-type supreme treasure. Hidden inside it, even a universe lord would be helpless against him. Among 6th-tier items, the Hongmeng bead rated high, comparable to a God King supreme treasure in the swallowed star world. A universe lord could not break through its defenses. Naturally, if Yue Ming hid inside the bead, a universe lord could trap the bead and wait, but only if Yue Ming never emerged. Ding! Congratulations on completing the mission. Your mission rating this time is 8.5 points. Your average rating is 8.5. Congratulations, you have obtained 0.03 origin points. The chat group system notification chimed inside his mind. Yue Ming paused in surprise. Had the group mission finished so quickly? Time and space shifted. When he opened his eyes again, he was back in the swallowed star world, and his soul slaves returned with him. Swallowed star. Yue Ming, 4th tier. What happened? The group mission suddenly completed? After suppressing the darkness, weren't we supposed to purify the world? Tomb of God, 5th tier. After I suppressed the Tathagata and the Grand Pure One, I learned the source of the darkness from them. I eliminated the source of the darkness. The journey to the West world will slowly recover on its own, no longer needing our help. So the mission completed naturally. Liu Shanshan, 5th tier. The harvest this time was pretty good. I got 0.15 origin points. 4th tier. Lu Ming and I each only got 0.01 origin points. So Yue Ming got 0.03. After I eliminated the immortals and gods of the heavenly court, I cleaned out the underworld and the earthly immortal realm as well, so I received more origin points than you. There was nothing to hide. The total reward was only 0.2 origin points. Liu Shanshan had taken 0.15. Lu Ming and Li Jing each got 0.01. It was easy to work out Yue Ming's share. Shrouding the heavens. Looks like I need to get more soul slaves like Yue Ming. A record of a mortal's journey to immortality. Liu Ming, 2nd tier. Envious of the big shots who can get origin points. Battle through the heavens. Xiao Zhan, 2nd tier. I have to raise my strength fast. I can't just hope my son becomes a dragon. I must join the next group mission, no matter what. Liu Shanshan, 5th tier. You all have few origin points now, so you can't buy things in the chat group mall yet, but you can extract them. Even 0.01 origin points can be turned into tiny origin shards to boost your strength significantly. The greatest benefit of origin is that it can ignore bottlenecks. Save it for when you need to break through. Chapter 92. Breaking Through to Undying. 4th tier. It's still too early for me to break through to the 5th tier. I'll just use the origin points directly. Every bit of strength helps. Yue Ming. Then hurry and use them. Try out the effect of the origin shards and tell me how it goes. Origin points could be exchanged for origin shards through the chat group. Origin shards could accelerate cultivation and even bypass bottlenecks, helping cultivators break the shackles of their realms. For Yue Ming, though, they didn't seem strictly necessary yet. The cultivation system in the swallowed star world split into the law path and the divine body path. Yue Ming followed the law path, and with his godhead and law fusion apparatus, he wouldn't hit a bottleneck until the Chaos Dominator realm. Before the Chaos Dominator realm, I won't face a bottleneck. Using origin points now feels wasteful. Maybe I should work on the divine body path as a supplement. Yue Ming's main path remained the law path, but he could cultivate the divine body path on the side. The treasures in the chat group mall could raise genetic level up to 10,081 times perfect genes. But perfect genes weren't the ultimate limit. Before the true God realm, the cap was 100,000 times. As for after true God, Yue Ming didn't know. He might only learn that after reaching the origin continent. With origin shards, he could slowly push his genetic level past the shackles toward 100,000 times, or even beyond. But 0.03 origin points definitely wouldn't be enough. Lu Shanshan, 5th tier. The effect of origin points is excellent. You'll see once you use them yourselves. There are no hidden dangers in using origin points to raise cultivation, so use them with confidence. Li Jing, 4th tier. I've already extracted the origin shards. I sent a photo. Take a look. Li Jing sent a picture to the chat group, a thumb-sized, crystal-clear translucent fragment. It looked ordinary, yet it was the coveted origin shard. The effect 4th tier. The effect is amazing. I haven't even finished cultivating it, and my cultivation is rapidly increasing. I estimate refining this shard will take about half a month. Yue Ming, 4th tier. Can you estimate how many realms that shard might raise you? By Swallowed Star standards, I'm currently equivalent to an ordinary Undying. After refining this shard, I should reach the champion level. You and Lu Ming should try it too. Yue Ming, 4th tier. That's already astonishing. In just half a month, it could raise you several levels. You know the gap between an ordinary Undying and a king-level immortal is massive. I won't use mine yet. Origin points are hard to come by. I'm saving mine for when I prove the Tao and become an emperor. After chatting for a while, Yue Ming went offline. He still had a lot to do, most pressingly, dealing with the group of immortal servants. Master, all these treasures were plundered from the earthly immortal realm, the immortal servants said as they laid out what they'd taken. Yue Ming waved his hand and collected everything into his world ring. All of you must erase every memory of the journey to the West World. Leave no trace. Yes, if the soul slaves had been of no use to him, Yue Ming would have disposed of them, but they still had some value. He turned his attention to another matter. It's time to break through to Undying, but this place isn't suitable for closed-door cultivation. I need somewhere quiet. He took out his universe spaceship and had Bebe run scans for an uninhabited location, preferably far from the Green Lotus continent. Found it. Half a month later, in an uninhabited void realm of the 7th domain outer battlefield, the universe spaceship descended slowly onto a barren planet. I'm going into closed-door cultivation to break through to Undying. You are on guard. Understood. Yue Ming dug a cave and began his closed-door cultivation. Time slipped by, and 12 years flashed past. Finally, I've reached a power output of 100 times. With his body's power output hitting 100 times, Yue Ming satisfied all 3 requirements for breaking through to Undying. He could finally charge into the immortal realm. Buzz. An invisible connection linked Yue Ming to the Law Ocean in the origin land of the universe. The Ocean of Law poured its endless aura into him. The origin bead within Yue Ming reacted. Inside the world of the origin bead, an invisible force condensed into a human figure, Yue Ming's own appearance. Law takes shape. The soul will manifests. The origin is broken. Divine power pours in. Soul and body merge, stepping into Undying. That was the basic process for stepping into Undying. Once the breakthrough began, everything became irreversible. Inside the origin bead world, a vast realm more than 200 million kilometers in diameter, Yue Ming's soul will manifested as a body, hovering in the void. Next, break the world's shackles. Whether martial artists or psychic masters, anyone breaking through to Undying relied on the origin bead. After forming a soul will body within the bead, weapons could only be formed from energy. No physical tools could be brought in. Yue Ming stared at the chaos-colored world membrane ahead and unleashed his strongest sword strike. Blue sword light erupted, swelling in the void from 3 feet to a colossal blade, tens of thousands of meters long. The giant blue sword crackled with indomitable aura, burning as it cut through space and thrust toward the chaos-hued membrane. Boom! The blue greatsword pierced the inner wall of the membrane. The inner surface trembled, then the blade drove through the world membrane. Crack, crack, crack. Webs of fissures spread across the membrane. widening like a spiderweb until the chaos-colored barrier shook violently and collapsed into dust. Done. Breaking that layer of the world membrane was unusually easy for Yue Ming. Unlike Luo Feng, Yue Ming's inner world was only a little over 200 million kilometers across, so shattering the shackles was naturally simpler. The moment the origin bead's barrier was broken, Yue Ming's soul will instantly linked completely with the endless law ocean of the origin land. The water-space fusion law descended over him. A torrent of water-space divine power poured down, surging into Yue Ming. The soul imprint must merge into every particle of divine power. Every particle of divine power must bear my mark. Yue Ming's body was transformed into a divine body. From that moment on, his lifespan stretched endlessly. He had an undying body. As long as a trace of divine power remained, he could survive. 1,000-kilometer divine body, he murmured. It won't compare to Luo Feng in the original work, but compared to an ordinary undying, my divine body is much larger. And once I raise my genetic level to perfection, my divine body could reach 90,000 kilometers. This was a trade-off. Yue Ming had not pushed his genetic level higher at the World Lord rank. Instead, he chose an easier path to breaking the shackles and attaining undying. The advantage was a straightforward breakthrough and an infusion of divine power at this moment. The disadvantage was that the opportunity to receive divine power only occurred when breaking through. Later, if he increased his genetic level, he would have to replenish divine power himself, a long, slow process unless he spent wealth buying treasures to speed it up. It's time to build the divine kingdom. Yue Ming had no fixed location in mind for the divine kingdom. Once built, he would store it in the Hongmeng bead and carry it with him. Growing a divine kingdom required devouring space shards, and there were no space shards stored in the bead now. That wasn't a real problem. In the future, he could release the divine kingdom and let it devour shards in the space-time interlayer. With the Hongmeng bead, the divine kingdom could move freely. Wherever he went, he could take his divine kingdom with him. That was what mattered most. Chapter 93, Building a God Nation. Congratulations, Master, on breaking through to the undying realm. Your life is eternal from this moment. All the immortal servants prostrated themselves, trembling. Their eyes shone with reverence and a thread of awe. They had seen many champion immortals, but Yue Ming had only just become undying, and the divine might radiating from him was more terrifying than that of many champion immortals. Ha ha ha! Rise, all of you! Yue Ming laughed heartily. Breaking through to the undying realm was cause for celebration. From now on, his life was endless. His body was undying. He smiled, but his mind was already turning to practical matters. I need an Origin Supreme Treasure, otherwise restoring divine power is going to be a headache. An Origin Supreme Treasure is an auxiliary relic that can connect to the Law Divine Power Ocean of the origin land of the universe and draw divine power to rapidly restore an undying body. Yue Ming did not have anything like Luo Feng's massive clone, a portable divine power reserve that could act like a charger. His divine body was still modest in size, but once his gene level neared perfection and his divine body expanded to 90,000 kilometers, replenishing divine power after battles would become onerous. If he had to rely on buying restoration treasures after every fight, no amount of points would suffice. Acquiring an Origin Supreme Treasure was imperative. There are Origin Supreme Treasures in the chat group mall, and they're not that expensive, he thought. But even if I buy one, it won't help here. A treasure from another original universe can't simply tap into the origin land of this universe. It's like using someone else's key on your own door. It won't work. It's not urgent. I'll look for one in those universe secret realms when the chance arises. For now, let's build the God Nation. Yue Ming waved his hand and opened a crack in space, stepping into the spatial interlayer. The interlayer is commonly divided into 3 zones: the outermost spatial fragments, the middle God Nation layer, and the deep spatial torrent layer. That division made sense to ordinary undying, though true superpowers regarded the interlayer as a vast continuum. The farther from the original universe, the larger the spatial fragments. The deeper you go, the more dangerous it becomes. The outer perimeter is relatively safe, where even world lords can survive. The deepest reaches can bring down universe exalts. Typically, Newly ascended Undying establish their god nation in the god nation layer and move deeper as they grow stronger. This will do, Yue Ming decided. Going deeper with his current strength would be too risky. He found a spatial fragment hundreds of billions of kilometers across and chose it as the site. Within the fragment, land and water had already formed, more than enough room for a god nation. Spatial fragments themselves move at unbelievable speeds. A collision from 100 billion kilometers wide would annihilate even a champion immortal. Establish god nation. Yue Ming activated his inner world. Invisible energy burst outward and locked onto the distant spatial fragment. An illusory world shimmered into being nearby, a phantom dimension that began to fly toward the real fragment. The two approached each other. Space trembled, and neighboring fragments shifted to give way. The phantom world merged with the real fragment, stabilizing into a true world. The illusory skin faded, leaving behind a fully formed realm, Yue Ming's god nation. He stepped into it. The god nation was vast, saturated with divine might, its borders gradually expanding. Divine hall, rise, divine power gathered, and a magnificent divine hall took shape at the center, suffused with the water-space fusion law. It naturally became the core of the god nation. Finally done. Yue Ming closed his eyes and spread his hands. The sensation was sublime. He felt as if he were the god nation itself, and that everything within it existed inside his mind. He took out the Hongmeng bead. It was a 6th-tier treasure, roughly equivalent to a god king's supreme relic in the swallowed star world. Normally refining such a treasure would be difficult, but Yue Ming had spent a fortune on it. The chat group had already specially processed it. Treasures bought from the chat group mall could be easily refined by imprinting a soul mark regardless of their grade. Collect. A terrifying devouring power emanated from the bead and enveloped the god nation. The realm contracted and was absorbed into the Hongmeng bead. The Hongmeng world inside the bead was immense. Yue Ming's god nation became a drop in an ocean. An idea struck him. If the Hongmeng bead could collect spatial fragments, he could keep the god nation sealed inside it and let the bead slowly devour fragments over time. He tested it on a fragment tens of billions of kilometers wide, and to his surprise, could collect it into the bead. The Hongmeng bead can gather fragments, so I don't need to deploy the god nation all the time. When I have leisure, I'll come to the interlayer and collect fragments for it to consume. Of course, during a realm breakthrough, the god nation still had to be released. The god nation would expand rapidly and devour many fragments then, and the cultivator could receive the favor of the original universe's will during the process. Those opportunities were rare and could not be missed. After half a month in the interlayer, Yue Ming used the Hongmeng bead to collect hundreds of thousands of spatial fragments. That stockpile would sustain the god nation for years. The only problem was that activating the bead had drained his divine power. He could no longer operate it. Even though the chat group had made the bead easy to refine, it was a 6th-tier relic and consumed a tremendous amount of divine power when used. I will cultivate in seclusion. You all keep watch. Yes, the immortal servants replied. Back in the mortal cave, Yue Ming took out a space-time interferer and transferred everything inside it into the god nation within the Hongmeng bead, then sold the interferer. From now on, he would cultivate inside the bead. The Hongmeng bead also concealed heavenly secrets, so the interferer was redundant. He then sold all the treasures his immortal servants had plundered from the dark journey to the West World. With those matters settled, he entered the Hongmeng bead. First priority: restore divine power. It took more than half a year and a small portion of the restorative treasures he had exchanged from the clan's vault for his divine power to return to full. That was only with 100-fold gene. Once his genes neared perfection and his divine body swelled to 90,000 kilometers, the cost to recover divine power after each battle would grow even larger. It's time to raise my genetic level. In the primordial universe, ordinary life could only raise its genetic level to a maximum of 100 times, an edict of the will of the original universe that could not be broken. With the Hongmeng bead shielding him from the original universe's perception, Yue Ming planned something audacious: to raise his genetic level directly to 10,081 times. He prepared to buy Fire Date Nectar. Fire Date Nectar is a third-tier heaven and earth treasure that can raise genetic level and is also useful in alchemy. Consuming it directly boosts cultivation. Yue Ming's points were low after buying the Hongmeng bead, but after selling the plundered treasures, he had enough to purchase what he needed to push his genes upward. Chapter 94, Perfect Gene Rank. In the divine kingdom of the Hongmeng world, Yue Ming sat cross-legged in the divine hall. As he refined treasure after treasure, the aura around him swelled. It felt like the pressure you get from a peak bloodline giant beast in the universe, an oppression at the very level of life itself. After a while, he murmured, "Once gene rank reaches 1,000 times, third-tier treasures stop working. I need fourth-tier treasures to keep raising my gene rank." He began buying fourth-tier treasures. Points on his attribute panel drained steadily, and his gene rank climbed 2,000 times, 3,000 times, up to 10,000 times. At that point, fourth-tier treasures lost their effect. Yue Ming pushed on and refined more than a dozen fifth-tier treasures. When his gene rank finally hit 10,081 times, he reached the legendary perfect gene rank. As the gene rank surged, everything changed with cataclysmic force. His divine kingdom exploded outward, and his divine body leapt in scale. His divine kingdom expanded wildly, ravenously devouring space fragments to grow. His divine body shot up to 90,000 kilometers. But right after that came a hollow, endless emptiness. Though his body had grown enormous, his stock of divine power hadn't increased. It was like turning a full wash basin into a pond. The container was bigger and needed far more water. Yue Ming hadn't used his breakthrough to undying to trigger a divine power backflow. Instead, he had increased his gene rank, so he would have to replenish divine power on his own. Relying on absorbing universe origin energy would take ages. The other option was to spend points and money to buy treasures, pay to win. First, refill my divine power and get back to peak, he decided. Yue Ming reduced his divine body until he stood about 2 meters tall again. He emptied out all the treasures he'd exchanged from the clan treasury and the haul he'd bought from the chat group mall. It took him more than 5 years of refining, but at last his divine power was fully restored. He glanced at the Hongmeng world. Among the hundreds of thousands of space fragments he had gathered, more than half had already been consumed by his divine kingdom in those 5 years. That hunger was a byproduct of reaching perfect gene. The divine kingdom was in an explosive expansion phase. Under normal circumstances, its growth rate would have been less than 1,000th of what it was now. He opened his attribute panel. Several new entries had appeared. Swallowed Star. Yue Ming rank, 4th tier, folded, golden finger, law fusion device points, 485 trillion, rating, 8.5 origin points, 3. His rating was 8.5 from his last completed mission. That rating could change with future missions and would affect priority when accepting missions in the chat group. Yue Ming clicked the folded tag beside rank, and the panel expanded into detail. Rank, Immortal Realm, 4th tier. Realm, Water Origin Law 45%, Space Origin Law 45%, Water Space Fusion Law 45%, 3rd layer. Will, Immortal Peak Gene, 10,081 times Amplitude, 0 times. Secret Techniques, Ice Sealing Heaven and Earth, Soul Suppression, Primal Saint Body, Heaven Severing Sword Intent. The rank panel now showed a will entry, and what had been body exertion was relabeled Divine Body Amplification. The Primal Saint Body had 2 parts. The upper records the method for 100 times body exertion, the lower records the method for 100 times divine body amplification. Yue Ming hadn't yet cultivated the lower part, so his divine body amplification remained at 0. "It's time to go out," he said. "After reaching perfect gene rank, I should receive a boon from the will of the primordial universe, a talent secret technique. I wonder which one I'll get." Because he had been inside the Hongmeng bead, the primordial universe's will had been shielded and couldn't sense him there. But when he stepped out of the bead, everything changed. Rumble. Space-time around him snapped solid. The wind-bent weeds, the swaying branches, the drifting leaves, and the distant running water all froze. Yue Ming stood perfectly still as a mysterious force suffused his body and carried his consciousness into an unknown place. He didn't know how much time passed, endless years or a single instant, before his awareness cleared. Then he realized, reaching perfect gene rank had pulled him into the primordial universe to be granted a talent secret technique. He found himself in a strange space filled with countless motes of light, each one overflowing with power. Yue Ming recognized them for what they were: the latent talent, secret techniques reserved for those who reached perfect gene rank. He watched as the lights drifted, each avoiding his consciousness. Suddenly, one of them broke formation, streaked toward him like a bolt, and merged into his mind. My consciousness has received something, he thought, sorting through the flood of information. It was an instruction set, his talent secret technique, divine power siphon. Activating this secret technique allowed Yue Ming to connect with the primordial universe and siphon divine power from its endless ocean. It was essentially an origin supreme treasure in technique form, possibly better. This meant he would no longer have to worry about draining divine power in battle. He could replenish it any time within the primordial universe. It wouldn't help on other worlds, but for the Hongmeng world, it was exceptionally valuable. If only I'd known, I could have gotten this before burning through so many treasures, Yue Ming mused. He had been cautious and weak at the time. Anyone in his position would have chosen to refill divine power before venturing out. There was no way to foresee the talent would be this kind of boon. Yue Ming decided to go into seclusion to cultivate the lower part of the primal saint body and raise his divine body amplification. 10 years passed like a blink. Through focused cultivation, he raised his divine body amplification to 15 times. Early improvements were easier. He knew it would get far harder the further he pushed, so he brought his seclusion to a close for now. He had a mission waiting. The primordial Chaos City Lord had tasked him with earning 10 trillion military merits to complete a life-and-death tempering mission. Yue Ming planned to hunt champion undying of the alien races to earn the merits, and once the mission was done, he would return to Primordial Chaos City to cultivate quietly. He already held permanent residency there after passing the 18th level of the Heavenly Bridge. I've already broken through to the immortal realm. My period of seclusion is over. Time to report to my teacher on Thunder Island. Yue Ming sent a message to inform his master, the Ice Peak Lord, then logged into the virtual universe and teleported directly to the palace on Thunder Island. Chapter 95, The Delighted Ice Peak Lord. Greetings, teacher. When Yue Ming entered the palace at the peak of Thunder Island and saw the Ice Peak Lord, he bowed respectfully. You have broken through to Undying? The Ice Peak Lord's face lit up. He had seen Yue Ming's urgent summons and worried the disciple might have run into trouble on the outside territory battlefield. Now that he knew otherwise, he could breathe easy. Yes, I broke through to Undying some time ago, then secluded myself for a while. I've only just come out and immediately came to report to you, teacher. Good. The Ice Peak Lord was immensely relieved. With a disciple like this, what more could he ask for? He had expected it would take Yue Ming thousands of years to reach Undying, so this was a very pleasant surprise. Also, I stumbled on an opportunity that broke the limits of the primordial universe. My gene level rose again to the perfect state. I wanted to report that to you as well. Yue Ming did not hide his gene level increase. In any case, it would have been hard to conceal. If anything happened, having the Ice Peak Lord aware of it meant he had powerful backing. You mean you've reached the perfect gene level 1,081 times? The Ice Peak Lord found it hard to believe. Many Universe Lords had never reached the perfect gene level. For Yue Ming to claim it was astonishing. Yes, I would never dare to deceive you, teacher. Yue Ming nodded and spoke solemnly. The Ice Peak Lord laughed openly. Yue Ming's breakthrough to Undying had been surprising, but this was pure joy. The opportunity I found included some treasures that raised gene levels. I used most of them to bring myself to the perfect level, but there are still quite a few left. I saved them for you, teacher. When you return to the primordial universe, please come and take them. Yue Ming was grateful to the Ice Peak Lord. Those treasures were not worth huge treasure point debts, so offering them as repayment felt right. Now that he had reached Undying with a perfect gene level and power comparable to a Universe Exalt, he wasn't worried about taking out such relics. Besides, having the Ice Peak Lord as a patron and his own strength meant no one would dare target him. You've obtained them yourself. I can't accept them, the Ice Peak Lord protested, though his eyes betrayed a hint of relief. It was rare that Yue Ming thought of him first after gaining an opportunity like this. Teacher, between master and disciple, why be so formal? The treasures I found are top quality and could likely get you to perfect as well. If you truly insist, just reward me with some treasure points. I only want better equipment. There were indeed items in the human race's vault that could raise gene levels, but each had limits. Some worked only below 100-fold, others below 1,000-fold, and the most potent had long since been exchanged. Yue Ming hadn't seen anything that could push beyond 1,000 times waiting in the vault. Keep them for now. We'll deal with it when I next return to the primordial universe. As for treasure points, most of the good things in the vault have already been claimed. I'll try to prepare whatever you need. All right, I'll leave them with you. Yue Ming accepted the excuse. He didn't actually want to spend treasure points. As the Ice Peak Lord had said, the vault's offerings were mostly mediocre. If any were truly valuable, Universe Lords or Overlords would have already taken them. Come with me. The Ice Peak Lord led Yue Ming out of the palace to the mountain's summit. From there, they could see, in the distance, countless palaces spread below. All of my virtual universe corporation's undying spiritual gods reside on Thunder Island. Those palaces below belong to them. The central mountain range houses Universe Exalts on the slopes and Universe Lords, along with a few exceptionally powerful top Universe Overlords on the peaks. Now that you have broken through to Undying and reached the perfect gene level, with power comparable to a Universe Exalt, you can choose a spot on the mountainside and build a palace. Even though the Ice Peak Lord hadn't seen Yue Ming in combat, he knew that at perfect gene level, Yue Ming's strength would be comparable to an ordinary Universe Exalt. Teacher, I think I'd better not. I'll build somewhere more secluded on Thunder Island to avoid gossip. Yue Ming didn't care where a palace stood. Slope or peak was the same to him. Besides, breaking through to Universe Exalt shouldn't be hard. In a few hundred years at most, I'm confident I can cultivate the fourth layer of the water-space fusion law and cross into the Exalt realm. Good, ambitious, the Ice Peak Lord smiled. This disciple had already surprised him many times. He believed Yue Ming could do it again. With your current strength, there's no need to stay on the outside territory battlefield. When do you plan to return? First, I want to hunt some king-level immortals of other races to complete my military merit mission, then go into seclusion in Primordial Chaos City. Yue Ming answered honestly. He planned to retreat to Primordial Chaos City and train in seclusion, possibly until he reached Universe Exalt or even Universe Lord. Since you intend to seclude yourself in Primordial Chaos City, I'll grant you 100 opportunities to study the Ice Peak Chaos Tablet. The Ice Peak Lord had forged the Ice Peak Chaos Tablet himself, so he could grant comprehension attempts as he pleased. Thank you, teacher. Yue Ming quickly expressed his gratitude. He also possessed a divine instrument to aid in understanding origin law, which was far more effective than the Chaos Tablet. Even if he did not need the tablet, he was not foolish enough to refuse. The master and disciple stood on the summit and talked for a long time. Before Yue Ming left, more than half a day had passed. After he departed, the Ice Peak Lord logged off. In the collapsing peak world of the Universe C, the Ice Peak Lord suddenly laughed aloud, drawing the attention of the Darkness Lord and Lord Longxing nearby. Senior Brother Ice Peak, did something good happen? You're so delighted, the Darkness Lord asked. Haha, my disciple Yue Ming has broken through to Undying. As his teacher, how could I not be happy? That fast. Lord Longxing sounded surprised. He had heard many tales of Yue Ming, the proud disciple of the Ice Peak Lord. Not too fast, just impressive. The Ice Peak Lord waved a hand as if to dismiss it, though his expression betrayed pride. Lord Longxing's mouth twitched. If the disciple was just all right, why was his senior brother so joyful? Yue Ming's talent is extraordinary. He may very well become a Universe Lord in the future. Senior Brother Ice Peak, guide him well. Put in the effort. The Darkness Lord, who already had a Universe Lord disciple, was also impressed. Universe Lords were crucial to the human race. Each was a pillar. Without Universe Lords, a human race could never truly stand on its own in the universe. it would be forced to serve as a vassal to others and be exploited. Chapter 96, Divine Power Siphon. This place is good, secluded. I like quiet. I'll choose here. Yue Ming circled Thunder Island once and finally picked a secluded corner to build his palace. Yue Ming, this is, he turned at the voice. A burly ape-like man in golden battle armor, his face framed by golden fur, had arrived. Zhenyan King, I didn't expect to run into you here. I was going to build my palace in this spot. Zhenyan King narrowed his pupils. Yue Ming had already broken through to the Undying Realm? It had only been about 70 years since the last group of prodigies left Primordial Chaos City. Zhenyan King could only admire him inwardly, a peerless genius rarely seen in billions of eras. No wonder a universe exalt had taken him as a personal disciple. You've broken through to Undying? Zhenyan King asked. Since I'm building a palace here, we'll be neighbors. My palace isn't far. Come by when you have time, Yue Ming said with a smile. Haha, I'll drop by. Bring some good wine, Zhenyan King. Zhenyan King didn't stay long. After a brief exchange, he left in a hurry, no doubt with urgent matters to attend to. Yue Ming set to work on his palace. The actual building was simple. Choose the site and the architectural style, and the virtual universe system handled the rest. A cluster of China-style halls rose from the barren ground, forming Yue Ming's palace complex. The territory around it, spanning several hundred miles, belonged to him. Word of Yue Ming's breakthrough and his new palace spread quickly, not just across Thunder Island, but throughout the Undying community. Have you heard? That prodigy has already entered the Undying Realm. Someone saw him building his palace on Thunder Island. How long has it been? He's caught up to us already. He might surpass us all soon. No wonder he was called a peerless genius by a universe exalt. New talents eclipse the old generation by generation. I was hailed the same back then. Undying spiritual gods on Thunder Island often gathered to talk. Today, they were all discussing Yue Ming. Not only undying spiritual gods, but many universe exalts were astonished at how fast he had advanced, breaking into Undying in barely over 100 years. In total, Yue Ming had cultivated for less than 120 years. To reach Undying so fast was unprecedented in human history. I'll collect some space fragments, then head to Green Lotus Continent to hunt alien king-level immortals, Yue Ming decided. He left the virtual universe and tore open space to enter the space layer. Countless gigantic space fragments drifted there. Collect. Yue Ming produced the Hongmeng bead. No matter their size, each space fragment he encountered was sucked into it. Divine Power Siphon! He activated his talent secret technique and linked his consciousness to a mysterious place, an ocean world of endless origin law divine power. At his will, divine power surged into his body, replenishing what his divine form had spent. His divine body instantly restored to peak condition. The effect far outmatched an origin-level supreme treasure. Even an origin supreme treasure siphoning from the divine power ocean couldn't replenish as fast. With the divine power siphon technique, even if activating the Hongmeng bead consumes a lot of divine power, I can always maintain peak condition, Yue Ming thought. Being able to siphon divine power anywhere meant effectively inexhaustible divine power. He no longer needed to fear depletion. Half a year flew by. Yue Ming had collected millions of space fragments, enough for his divine kingdom to consume for several hundred years. The last time he used the Hongmeng bead, its operation had drained his divine power in just half a month. This time, after more than half a year, he remained at peak. Master, depart for Green Lotus Continent. At Yue Ming's command, his immortal servants boarded the universe ship. As it accelerated, it quickly surpassed the speed of light and entered the dark universe. 10 days later, they arrived at Green Lotus Continent. As they emerged, alien powerhouses detected the ship. Master, 9.9 billion kilometers ahead, 3 alien king-level immortals detected. They've probably noticed us and are coming our way. Then we'll wait here. King-level immortals use top-tier detection. If Yue Ming had found them, they'd certainly found him. Soon 3 alien ships arrived, and 3 strangely shaped king-level immortals disembarked and surrounded Yue Ming's vessel. So it's King Qianxin and Silverwing King. I didn't expect to run into you two again. Have you found the human race genius Yue Ming yet? One asked. Death Mantis King, the reward for the #1 spot on the assassination list, is mine. I advise you to leave Green Lotus Continent and stop wasting time. Old acquaintances should speak civilly. First, let's see if Yue Ming is aboard this ship, then we can argue. News Zhejiang had spread about Yue Ming's presence had drawn many alien, Marquise, Undying, and King-level immortals to Green Lotus Continent. Yue Ming sat at the top of the assassination list. The reward was lavish. Even many universe exalts lacked such treasures. No wonder so many came. Have you chatted enough? If so, it's time to send you on your way. Yue Ming stepped out of the ship alone. His immortal servants were at most undying army masters and could do little to help. Yue Ming, the three king-level immortals stared at him hungrily. Finding him here was their luck. On many alien assassination lists, the reward for killing him was a supreme treasure. I only need to kill one of you to complete the 10 trillion military merits mission. The other two I'll enslave, Yue Ming said. He activated his flying fish battle armor. Having broken into the Undying realm, he could now shift the armor into its second form, giving him speed comparable to a universe exalt. Without a word, he launched at the three king-level immortals. A slender streak of swordlight flashed and was already in front of the Death Mantis King. Such speed! The Death Mantis King's pupils widened as blue swordlight reflected in them. He had no time to react. A blade pierced his chest. Undying bodies are immortal, so the wound wasn't instantly fatal. Only 15% of his divine body was annihilated, but the message was unmistakable. 7 sword strikes would be enough to finish him. This attack was at the exalt level. For an undying being, swinging 7 swords would take less than a 10,000th of a second. The careless Death Mantis King collapsed, killed by Yue Ming. Escape! King Qianxin and Silverwing King panicked. Their souls fled and spirits scattered. They abandoned their ships and fled. Enslave! Yue Ming pursued and caught up to King Qianxin with the flying fish armor. After several rapid sword strikes, he gravely wounded King Qianxin and then began the process of soul enslavement. Too bad Silverwing King got away, Yue Ming muttered. Silverwing King cultivated space origin law and had mastered teleportation. While Yue Ming was pursuing King Qianxin, Silverwing King kept teleporting and vanished. If only I had a domain-type supreme treasure, Yue Ming thought. A domain treasure could seal space-time and trap an enemy within a bounded area, handy for preventing escape the next time he ran into teleporting foes. Chapter 97, Return to Primordial Chaos City. I must leave the 7th domain outer battlefield immediately. A gentleman does not stand beneath a crumbling wall. If I stay, the alien races will very likely send a universe exalt after me. After King Yinyi's escape, word of him would spread fast. That would bring universe exalts, or worse, universe overlords down on Yue Ming. His strength was comparable to an ordinary exalt. He might barely evade a high-level venerable, but against a universe overlord, he would have no chance. Return to Barracks Base number 025. Yue Ming brought King Yinyi back to the universe ship and gave the order. The ship accelerated and slipped into the dark universe. Once it reached Barracks Base number 025, Yue Ming used the barracks teleportation channel to leave the 7th domain outer battlefield. Not long after his departure, news of his actions spread across the outside territory battlefield and then outward to the alien races. In a shadowed star domain of the primordial universe's insect territory stood a colossal temple. It rose up some 100,000 kilometers, and the main hall housed immense, oddly shaped golden insect warriors, each of them undying rank. Among them moved many humans in assorted armors. The humans and insect warriors passed each other in eerie, submissive harmony. At the temple's highest level hung a hive, more than 10 kilometers across, like a drifting meteor, swarming with insect soldiers on guard. Master! 3 humans in golden armor bowed before the hive. They had been soul enslaved and lost their wills. The human territory was vast and populous. For hundreds of millions of years, the insect race and the human race, both peak races, had been locked in conflict. The insect race had long planted spies inside human nations, star domains, and even among the 5 major human forces. Masters of soul techniques, they could invade and control minds with terrifying ease. Even undying spiritual gods of the human race were not immune. Across both human territory and the outside territory battlefield, many human powerhouses had been turned into puppets. A soft voice echoed through the main hall as a beautiful, icy woman in white emerged from the hive. She was the Zerg Queen Mother. Reporting Master, the leader of the 3 gold-armored humans, said, "Our operatives in the human race report that the human race's peerless genius, Yue Ming, recently broke through to Undying and built a palace on Thunder Island in the virtual universe." Yue Ming has already broken through to Undying? Why is this only being reported now? Aren't human geniuses immediately assigned to universe nations upon reaching Territory Lord rank? How could news be missing like this? The Queen Mother demanded. "Forgive us, Master. We only learned late that Yue Ming's Territory Lord assignment was cancelled by the human race authorities," the human replied helplessly. If Yue Ming had been assigned a Territory Lord post, no amount of human cover-up could have hidden it. But the human race had apparently overridden the Virtual Universe Corporation's customary procedures. An Undying rank insect warrior burst into the hall. "Queen Mother, news from the 7th Domain Outer Battlefield." Yue Ming appeared in the Green Lotus continent area. He encountered 3 high-level champions, killed 2 with ease, and drove off the 3rd. His combat power is comparable to an ordinary Universe Exalt. The Zerg Queen Mother's face darkened. As a Universe Exalt of the insect race, she was responsible for gathering intelligence on the human race and eliminating their peerless geniuses. Yue Ming's sudden rise was a failure on her watch. If the Great Universe Lord held her accountable, she would suffer severely. Damn it, we must eliminate Yue Ming. She had watched this human prodigy since the peak genius battle and knew how dangerously fast he had advanced. After just over 100 years of cultivation, he had already reached the power of an ordinary Universe Exalt. If allowed to live, he might one day become a Universe Lord and a dire threat to the insect race. She ordered her agents within the human race to find and kill Yue Ming at any cost. "Yes, Master." Then she sent word to her clan, "Dispatch a Universe Overlord to enter the 7th Domain Outer Battlefield covertly and locate Yue Ming." The Great Race's agreement forbidding Universe Exalts from intervening in the outside territory battlefield applied only in normal conditions. This was no normal situation. A Universe ship emerged from the Primordial Universe passage. As its hatch opened, Yue Ming stepped out in blue battle armor. The Primordial Universe was an early-stage miniature cosmos. Spatial rifts streaked the sky, law patterns shimmered for the eye, and chaos chi filled the air. Yue Ming inhaled deeply, feeling oddly refreshed, as if bathing in a hot spring. He descended and strode toward Primordial Chaos City, taking in the familiar scene. Ascetic cultivators sat in meditation on rooftops across the city. "This time, I'll cultivate here for a long while. I have permanent residency in Primordial Chaos City, so I should pick a good place." His previous residence had been valid for only 30 years. This time, it was permanent, so he took time to find the right spot. After wandering, he chose a secluded compound at the edge of the city wall. He placed his hand on the pale white door, and the residence's sensing system activated with a soft glow. "Welcome, Master." An electronic voice confirmed his ownership. As long as he lived, this place would belong to him. The rooms were spacious, with private cultivation chambers, though most cultivators preferred the rooftop. He climbed to the roof, 100 meters across, larger than many Earth schoolyards, where chaotic, varied comprehension patterns had been engraved by earlier occupants. An incoming message pinged. "Huh, is 3rd Senior Sister looking for me?" Yue Ming murmured and opened it. It was from Venerable Xuan Yu, his 3rd Senior Sister. He left his residence and walked the familiar route to her compound. "Why haven't you contacted me for so long? Do I have to invite you before you come?" Xuan Yu scolded with mock annoyance as he arrived. Senior Sister, I've been busy. I just came back from the outside territory battlefield. Isn't this sincere enough?" Yue Ming replied with an embarrassed smile. Since leaving Primordial Chaos City, he hadn't kept up regular contact. He'd been focused on cultivation and rarely used the chat group or the virtual universe. "I prepared a gift as an apology," Xuan Yu said. "I saw your genetic level reached 80-fold. This will raise it to 100-fold. Venerable Xuan Yu had always treated him kindly. For Yue Ming now, a second-tier treasure was little more than chump change. He had secretly bought 3 second-tier genetic enhancement treasures in the chat group mall. Each could raise genetic level by 7 or 8-fold. This, I was only teasing, junior brother. You didn't have to take it seriously. This gift is too valuable, Xuanyue protested. Take it. Between senior and junior, there's no need for formality, Yue Ming interrupted, pressing the booster into her hands. By the way, didn't you leave Primordial Chaos City? Why return so quickly? He asked. It's all because of you. Xuanyue rolled her eyes. She had rushed back after receiving a summons from the Primordial Chaos City Lord. Chapter 98. Visiting the Primordial Chaos City Lord. I received an email from Marshal Uncle Chaos saying you might be assassinated by an alien exalt in the 7th Domain Outer Battlefield, so he asked me to come back and pick you up from the Outer Territory Battlefield, Venerable Xuanyue said. But before I could finish the journey, Marshal Uncle Chaos sent another message saying you had already left. Since I was already on my way back, I figured I might as well return to Primordial Chaos City and see you. Yue Ming smiled. He hadn't expected Venerable Xuanyue to hurry back. After all, most people who reached his level would stay and dominate the Outer Territory battlefield, carving out glory. It's my fault, he said lightly. I'm just afraid of dying. I expected the alien races to send universe exalts, maybe even universe overlords to hunt me down, so I didn't want to give them the chance. Hearing that, Venerable Xuanyue grew visibly moved. I didn't expect you to advance so quickly, junior brother. You can already kill king-level immortals. You're comparable to a universe exalt. Give it another few tens of thousands of years, and you might catch up to me. Yue Ming only smiled inwardly and kept silent. There was no need to announce his true goals. Since you're back in Primordial Chaos City, you must go and see Marshal Uncle Chaos, Venerable Xuanyue added. Don't forget. Thank you for the reminder, senior sister, Yue Ming replied. They talked most of the day. When he finally left, Yue Ming went straight to the city lord's inner residence to pay his respects to his senior martial uncle, the Primordial Chaos City Lord. Junior brother Yue Ming, it's only been a short time, and I didn't expect you to have already entered Undying and to be able to kill high-level champions near the power of a universe exalt. Incredible, the city lord said when Yue Ming arrived. Yue Ming stepped into the inner courtyard and saw Venerable Guyi. This time, Guyi's attitude had changed. Where politeness had previously had a cool distance, now he treated Yue Ming as an equal. It was inevitable. Yue Ming was no longer an unproven prodigy, but a man with real strength. You flatter me, senior brother Guyi. Compared to you, this is nothing. No need for false modesty. Teacher is waiting for you inside. Guyi led him to a secluded courtyard where a stone tablet outside read Chaos Ruins. Yue Ming bowed. Disciple Yue Ming greets senior martial uncle. Inside stood a tall figure with silver-white skin and tentacles sprouting from his head, Primordial Chaos City Lord. This was one of his 3 clones. Yue Ming had already met the other 2 as well. The City Lord's expression held surprise, delight, and expectation. He remembered Yue Ming as a youth, newly into the universe rank. Now he had reached undying and possessed power comparable to many exalts. More than that, Ice Peak Lord had informed him that Yue Ming had obtained an opportunity and reached a perfect gene level, a rarity even among universe lords. Human gene levels were ordinarily low. To attain truly high gene multipliers, one usually had to possess special life forms, and even then, a few hundred or 1,000 times was top tier. Life forms with several thousand times the gene level were extraordinarily rare, often unique world lords or even undying at birth. Because an undying soul had completely fused with its divine power and could not be possessed, the highest bodies that could be possessed were typically only world lords, making suitable special life forms even rarer. For an undying like Yue Ming to possess a perfect gene level, something many universe lords dreamed of, was startling. I've heard of your opportunity, the City Lord said. That is your own matter. Others will not pry. And Ice Peak Lord, your teacher, is the most protective among our virtual universe branch. If anyone dared to scheme against you, he would likely turn the world upside down. A faint smile flickered in the City Lord's eyes as he spoke of Ice Peak Lord. The elder brothers and sisters of their branch had guarded the race for hundreds of millions of years. Their bonds ran deep. You made quite a stir in the Outer Territory battlefield. Your situation is now exposed. The alien races will probably try to assassinate you at all costs. Unless it's urgent, don't leave Primordial Chaos City for the time being. Disciple understands, Yue Ming answered. He had already accepted that his exploits had been noticed and that his life would now be targeted. For that reason, he hadn't returned to the primitive mystical region. He had come directly to Primordial Chaos City. He hadn't brought his immortal servants with him either. Those he sent to the Milky Way galaxy, his territory awarded by the Black Dragon Mountain Empire after winning first place in the world competition. Cultivate well, the City Lord continued. You told me you're confident you can cultivate the fourth layer of the fusion law and break through to Universe Exalt within a few hundred years. I look forward to your results. Go. Disciple takes his leave. The City Lord watched the young man kneel and go. Compared to the City Lord's long lifespan and supreme strength, Yue Ming was still young. But his talent and potential, perfect genes, terrifying cultivation speed, and a natural affinity for the fusion law were second only to the City Lord's own teacher, the Origin Ancestor. If Yue Ming could not become a Universe Lord with these advantages, then who could? Outside the Chaos Ruins, Yue Ming let out a breath. Each meeting with the Primordial Chaos City Lord left him with a weighty psychological pressure. The Elder's presence, whether deliberate or not, was oppressive. Cultivating the fourth layer of the water-space fusion law would be easy for him, Yue Ming thought. It wouldn't take hundreds of years, just over 100 would be enough. At that speed, in well under 2 centuries, he had confidence he could break to Universe Exalt. He was on his way back to his cultivation residence when a group of people crossed his path. Their attire marked them as core geniuses from the Great Axe Battleground. Primordial Chaos City was jointly managed by the 5 great human powers, and their core geniuses each had one 30-year opportunity to cultivate in the city. Among them, Yue Ming recognized a familiar figure he hadn't seen in years, Thunder God. He felt a surge of surprise and genuine pleasure at meeting an old acquaintance in a foreign place. Chapter 99. Thunder God arrives at Primordial Chaos City. Exactly 130 years had passed since the peak genius battle, 30 years in Primordial Chaos City, and another 100 years in the primordial universe. After that battle, Thunder God had entered the Qianwu secret realm to cultivate. With his outstanding performance there, he was eventually absorbed into the core of the Great Axe Battleground. As a core genius of one of the 5 great powers, the custom was clear. He was sent to the primordial universe to spend 30 years cultivating in Primordial Chaos City. Is this Primordial Chaos City? No wonder it's called the human race's cultivation holy land. The environment for cultivation is amazing. Yeah, you can actually see the operation of the universe laws with your own eyes. It's incredible. Too bad we can only stay for 30 years. After that, we have to leave. If only we could cultivate here forever. A group of geniuses from the Great Axe Battleground, led by a reception envoy, walked the streets of Primordial Chaos City. Among them was a bald man in white scanning the surroundings, Thunder God. There were many reception envoys in the city. The one assigned to this batch of Great Axe geniuses wasn't the same person who had received Yue Ming and his party the last time. Yue Ming. Thunder God happened to spot a figure at the far end of the street and recognized Yue Ming. A flash of pleasant surprise crossed his face. Running into an old acquaintance in a foreign city was naturally a happy thing, but hadn't the previous group's cultivation period already ended? How is Yue Ming still here? You know His Highness Yue Ming? The reception envoy asked, turning toward Thunder God. Surprise showed in his eyes, and his gaze carried a new, respectful tone. Thunder God blinked. Was it odd to know Yue Ming? Why did the envoy look almost envious? He shrugged it off. Who is Yue Ming? One of the other geniuses asked, picking up on the envoy's tone. From the way you said it, he sounds like a big name here. You don't know Yue Ming? Didn't you follow the peak genius battle? Yue Ming won first place overall in that last competition. Let me tell you so you don't offend His Highness out of ignorance. Yue Ming is a true legend. He broke through to Undying in less than 120 years of cultivation. And right after he reached Undying, he killed 2 high-level champions of foreign races on the outside territory battlefield. His combat power is comparable to a Universe Exalt. As the envoy recounted Yue Ming's deeds, the great axe geniuses fell silent, slack-jawed. Not only was his cultivation speed astonishing, but he could also cut down powerful champions the moment he broke to undying. They felt unworthy to be in the same breath as him. Yue Ming is that powerful? Thunder God found it hard to believe. Was this the same Yue Ming he knew? Maybe it was just a namesake with a similar face. Ahem. It's not quite that exaggerated. Before anyone could finish, Yue Ming's figure flickered and he appeared beside Thunder God as if he had been standing there all along. He looked at the reception envoy and smiled. Thunder God and I are old friends. We haven't seen each other in years. I want to catch up, and later I'll take him to pick a chaos tablet. Is that all right? Please, Your Highness Yue Ming, the reception envoy replied with a slightly deferential tone. He was only an ordinary undying, not even a commander. With Yue Ming's strength, he could be killed with little effort, though combat and killing were forbidden inside Primordial Chaos City. The envoy's attitude was pure respect for the strong. Thunder God, come with me. Let's find a place to have a drink. Ha, all right, but if it's bad wine, I won't drink it. Thunder God laughed and left with Yue Ming. The great axe geniuses, including the reception envoy, watched them go with a twinge of envy. Don't worry, I'll get good wine, Yue Ming called back. Yue Ming led Thunder God to his cultivation residence. The adjacent residence was unoccupied, so Yue Ming suggested they be neighbors. When you enter Primordial Chaos City, you can claim a temporary cultivation residence. Why don't you take the one next to me? Sounds perfect. It's nice and secluded. Thunder God set his hand to the door terminal, entered his information, and claimed the residence. Then Yue Ming poured 2 glasses. It's been years. First, congratulations on becoming a core member of the Great Axe Battleground. Yue Ming toasted. This wine looks like it won't be cheap, Thunder God remarked, eyeing a dozen bottles on the table. He had already drained half a bottle in one gulp and worried about the cost. It's nothing. A bottle is only worth a few 100,000 Hun Yuan units, Yue Ming said lightly. Thunder God gaped inwardly. Half a bottle just then meant tens of thousands of Hun Yuan to him. Yue Ming laughed. The wine had actually been bought through the chat group mall. Yue Ming rarely drank and had no wine stocked in his spatial ring, and ordering over the virtual universe network would have taken at least an hour. Yue Ming raised his glass. This one's for you. The star fruit you had Brother Hong send me helped a lot. Without it, you might not have made the Great Axe Battleground core so fast. Thunder God was grateful. Ever since their time on Earth, Yue Ming had helped him again and again. It was nothing. I only helped as much as I could. The rest was your hard work. Thunder God's talent wasn't bad, and his mentality had always been strong. Without falling too far, he believed he would rise on his own. It's a pity I can't meet Brother Hong and Luo Feng here, Thunder God said with regret. They're probably on missions, Yue Ming replied. I'll send them an email and ask them to log into the virtual universe. We can meet there. That would be great. Thunder God agreed. They logged into the virtual universe and appeared at their old spot. Yue Ming ordered a stack of virtual drinks, and they began to drink while waiting. Yue Ming, you said there'd be a surprise. We meet at our old spot, and it's just lazy. Thunder God teased. The first to arrive was Hong. Though he wore a somewhat disdainful expression, a faint smile touched his eyes. Brother Hong, don't be so harsh, Thunder God chided. Brother Ming, Brother Hong, I'm here. Isn't this Thunder God? Luo Feng approached with a warm smile. They were in Yuxiang Mountain, a place only accessible to core members of the 5 major powers. Thunder God being here explained things. We joined the Great Axe Battleground Corps, and I came to Primordial Chaos City, Thunder God said, recounting how he had been selected into the Corps and won the chance to cultivate here. As soon as I arrived, I ran into Yue Ming, and we decided to drink together. It's a shame you two aren't here. Drinking in the virtual universe just isn't the same. When Yue Ming had built his palace on Thunder Island, Jianyan King had seen him and sent an email to Luo Feng. At the time, Luo Feng had been in critical seclusion, undergoing Blood River crystal fusion, and only learned that Yue Ming had broken through to undying after he came out of seclusion. Before Luo Feng could send his congratulations, Yue Ming had already messaged him first and arranged this meeting in the virtual universe. Chapter 100, Origin Shards. Yue Ming's cultivation speed is too fast. He's already far ahead of all of us. Lately, my teacher, King Chen Shi, has been bringing up Yue Ming's name so often, my ears are practically calloused. Hong later took a teacher as well, also a king-level immortal named King Chen Shi, who specialized in the two origin laws of time. Hong's progress wasn't flashy, but his foundation was rock solid. He advanced steadily, step by step, which was likely due to his unusually strong mental fortitude. Perhaps that steady determination was exactly why an ultimate powerhouse like King Chen Shi, with his sharp discernment, accepted Hong as a disciple. Not to mention Yue Ming, I'm already far behind Brother Hong and Luo Feng. Really, falling one step behind means every step after that is behind. Thunder God sighed. Although the Chanwu secret realm had its merits, it could not compare to primordial Chaos City. In a little over 100 years, he had fallen too far behind. Since you know you're behind, then catch up. Make good use of the 30 years of cultivation time in primordial Chaos City. I believe you'll close the gap quickly. Hong patted Thunder God's shoulder with confidence. With primordial Chaos City's cultivation resources, Thunder God would surely catch up. Luo Feng, you should still be in Blood Luo World, right? How many Blood River crystals have you fused? When do you plan to return? By the timeline, Luo Feng should still be in Blood Luo World, discovering the uses of Blood River crystals. He hadn't said how many he had fused yet. My Golden Horned Beast clone has fused more Blood River crystals. My Earthling clone has only fused 9 so far. I want to fuse 10 and return after becoming a black martial artist. I remember Brother Ming mentioned last time that there was a Demon Mountain mission world very suitable for Psyker Masters. After I come back from Blood Luo World, I plan to take the Demon Mountain mission. Luo Feng always recalled that Yue Ming had mentioned Demon Mountain in addition to Blood Luo World. If Blood Luo World contained treasures like Blood River crystals, Demon Mountain probably did too. It's a pity I'm only a member of the Doomsday Secret Realm. I can't go to Blood Luo World at all, Hong admitted. He wanted to go, but later learned that Doomsday Secret Realm members couldn't accept the Blood Luo World mission. The Virtual Universe Corporation divided missions among 4 major secret realms. The Blood Luo World mission belonged to the highest beginning mythical region. Only members of the primitive mystical region and highest beginning mythical region could qualify. Heaven and Earth Secret Realm and Doomsday Secret Realm members were excluded. Actually, what you call Blood River crystals are the blood of the Golden Beast God. Luo Feng's Golden Horned Beast clone is descended from the Golden Beast God, which is why it fuses Blood River crystals so easily. Gather as many as you can before you leave, Luo Feng. You can sell them to the Virtual Universe Corporation, keep them for yourself, or gift them to friends and family. Thunder God, who didn't know what Blood River crystals were, could only guess they were valuable. Blood River crystals, however, were tightly controlled by the Virtual Universe Corporation and forbidden to be sold except back to the corporation. Even gifts had to be reported. What exactly are these Blood River crystals? I don't understand, Thunder God finally asked. Blood River crystals can enhance genetic levels, Luo Feng said simply. Thunder God's eyes widened. He had eaten star fruit and knew how powerful genetic enhancement could be. If you get rich, don't forget us. You can't forget your brothers. All right, I won't forget you guys, Luo Feng smiled. Thunder God's earnestness was comical, but hearing Yue Ming's reassurance, Luo Feng decided to stay in Blood Luo World a little longer to gather more Blood River crystals. They chatted for hours, sharing experiences and observations about Earth's development. After drinking most of the day, they left the virtual universe feeling satisfied. On the way to the City Lord's mansion, Yue Ming explained Primordial Chaos City's rules to Thunder God and told him about the city's 3 great treasures. Although the Chaos True Spirit is very beneficial, when hunting Chaos Beasts, you must act within your limits. Many geniuses have died under a Chaos Beast clause while hunting, Yue Ming warned, fearing Thunder God might, in a moment of impulsiveness, rush out to hunt. Don't worry, I understand. Thunder God nodded. He knew nearly 200 geniuses of Yue Ming's generation had perished. He would be cautious. We're here. Go pick a chaos tablet. They arrived at the chaos tablet comprehension's secret chambers. Thunder God chose the myriad weight chaos tablet. He cultivated lightning origin as his primary and time origin as his secondary, and myriad weight contained both, making it a perfect match. First-time geniuses in Primordial Chaos City get 1 7-day free comprehension of a chaos tablet. I'll take you to the comprehension's secret chamber. Yue Ming led him to the guardian and introduced him. Lord Kandri, Yue Ming said, bowing to the seemingly ordinary, kindly-faced elder who guarded the chambers. Lord Kandri has watched over the Chaos Tablet Comprehension secret chambers for endless years. He's an extremely powerful universe exalt. All 52 chamber doors are guarded by Lord Kandri's clones. Thunder God stared in shock. One man having so many clones was hard to believe. A venerable with that many clones would have incredible survivability. Of course, Kandri's clones were likely weaker than his main body, but Thunder God had no idea how much power they retained. Ah, Yue Ming, are you here to comprehend a chaos tablet? Let's see. You currently have 106 comprehension opportunities. The Ice Peak secret chamber is available. Do you want to go in now? Kandri asked. Yue Ming nodded. Since he was there, he might as well use one of the opportunities his teacher, the Ice Peak Lord, had gifted him. He couldn't leave them unused. 106 comprehension opportunities? Thunder God was stunned. Comprehension opportunities were precious and normally required passing the heavenly bridge. How could Yue Ming have so many? The myriad weight chamber is occupied, so you'll have to wait in line. I'll go in first, Yue Ming said. All right, go ahead. Thunder God, still dazed, watched as Yue Ming stepped into the Ice Peak secret chamber. 7 days flew by. Kandri's voice echoed in Yue Ming's mind, waking him from his immersion in comprehension. He walked out and learned that Thunder God would need another half-day to finish. Without waiting, Yue Ming returned to his cultivation residence. Begin secluded cultivation. He entered the Grand Mist Bead, sat cross-legged in the Divine Kingdom, and opened the chat group mall. With origin points, he could search for Tier 7 and higher treasures. The Tier 7 offerings dazzled him, but he couldn't afford them. The lowest Tier 7 price started at 1 origin point. Yue Ming had only 0.03 origin points and chose not to spend them all. He decided to extract 0.01 origin points. As 0.01 was deducted, a crystal-like, thumb-sized origin shard materialized in his hand. That small shard was equivalent to 1% of the origin of a minor thousand worlds.